Hey everyone, it's John Trent with Bounding into Comics. So I just got a drink of Gatorade here. If you can see it, there you go. Thank you all for joining us. I'm joined by my co-host Donald Edmonds, and we have a guest co-host today, and our co-host of our Mandalorian review, Script Doctor. How are you all doing today? Oh, look, what is on that mug there, Don? Is that Captain America?
Oh shoot! Keep forgetting where the camera is.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Who is that? Who's the artist on that one?
They probably won't put his name, otherwise they'd have to credit him, give him more money.
Oh, I'm sure they have to. I mean, I would assume they, depending on the contract, I would assume that he gets some kind of royalties. From what I understand, with talking with Chuck Dixon, at least with DC, he does get royalty checks for pretty much any time Bane merchandise is sold.
Unless it's Ardian Syaf, then they disavowed him.
Oh, okay. So, hey, everyone in the chat, welcome. How's it going, Mark and Sven From? I hope I'm saying your name right. How are y'all doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us. We've got a pretty good stream, I think, lined up for tonight. We've got quite a bit of topics that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some Charlie's Angels. There's been tons of stuff happening with that film. It's just going crazy. It's almost like time's repeating itself. I feel like I'm back in 2016 with all the Ghostbusters stuff is what's happening. And even Paul Feig is commenting on it. So we're going to get into, we're going to get into all the comments, Elizabeth Banks, Paul Feig, everything that's going on with Charlie's Angels. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, I think we're going to talk about the Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. I don't know how many people saw that story today, but that kind of came out recently, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get into some DC Comics, MCU rumors, talk about the Thunderbolts, female Loki, some Henry Cavill, Black Adam, what's going on there. And we're going to talk about the new Star Trek movie. Hopefully Drew will be joining us later, maybe Jorge, and we'll get our Star Trek experts, get them in here, and they can talk Star Trek a little bit about that with us. And then maybe if we got some time at the end, we'll talk some Star Wars. Because I know there's been a bunch of Star Wars stuff dropping. There was like that huge Entertainment Weekly article. And then I think Rolling Stone just had a huge interview with Kathleen Kennedy as well. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Then we're going to start talking about Charlie's Angels. So I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but let me pull it up right now. But I know over the weekend, it was like on Sunday, it was estimated like 8.6 million, which is basically $12.
200 because my boss took our whole staff to see that today.
Well, dude, I saw there was some guy on Twitter, Yasher Ali or something. He said he bought out like 3 theaters. So that's how horrible this movie really is. I mean, you're seeing people are having to buy out theaters, even with like no one wanted to see it. No one.
Well, I'll say this: it's not a terrible movie. It's just slightly below mediocre. I mean, it's. I would say it's a little bit better than Terminator: Dark Fate with regards to how it approaches believable female action scenes. Because there is that. I mean, Mackenzie Davis. Mackenzie Davis. I mean, she looks kind of ripped, and she's got like the augment stuff in there, but she's not really got an intimidating presence, that she doesn't have any femininity to her. However, the one of the 3 new angels, the tall built one, she looks like Naomi she can hold herself.
Scott, right?
I think Naomi Scott is the nerdy one.
She's Princess Jasmine. She's not going to be the stacked one.
Okay.
Yeah, and by stacked, I'm usually meaning height and size, not the traditional term men have used for stacked.
I'm thinking like MMA fighter kind of stacked.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not that level, but she's comparable in size and speed, and a lot of the stuff that they do with her character shows that she's more about strategy for her size versus her opponents, as opposed to just being a strong ass, able to take down 3 or 4 guys 3 or 4 times her size. Like,
so not a Mary Sue. Cool.
She's definitely not a Mary Sue. She has some emotional moments. The acting is actually quite good. The dialogue's a little subpar. And because they're trying to do every action set piece you've seen in all the other male-led action films before, it just feels kind of bloated and unfocused. And that's kind of what hurts it the most. I mean, it does have that a feminist agenda stuff in it. It's kind of sparse throughout, but it's not blatant. I mean, it is blatant in your face when it's done, but it's not such a through line that it upsets the movie. Its attempts at humor are really hit and miss. Elizabeth Banks is probably the only one that has jokes that land. And she's really underused in her own movie, because this could have been a really good mentor recruitment type film. And it just didn't have that. And none of the characters have a main want or goal aside from what the plot dictates. And you can see every twist a mile away. So.
Sounds like a generic popcorn flick.
Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, but
I don't know. I don't know if it's really fine anymore. I mean, I think people are getting tired of that. They want something different. I think Joker kind of gave them that a little bit, and you saw it go over $1 billion. That's without even China. Looking at the numbers here for Charlie's Angels, it's only made $31 million at the global box office, and here domestically, which I think that includes Canada as well.
Yep.
It's only made $9.8 million.
39.
Which is just really, really bad. The original Charlie's Angels back in 2000, I think, had like 40 million opening, if I remember correctly, and that's in 2000 money. So I mean,
that's two white women
names
and an
too.
Asian.
Yeah, you had Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu. They were all at the top of their game. They were all like the hottest of hot like Hollywood actresses at the time. In this one, we have the biggest actress in this one, I guess. I mean, is Kristen Stewart maybe? I mean, maybe argue that Elizabeth Banks is bigger than her.
Elizabeth Banks has been in more movies recently than Kristen Stewart. So, also, this is
Naomi
technically
Scott
a sequel to the first two Charlie's Angels films, and also to the television series. Like they do a through line throughout the whole franchise.
Yeah, I saw the end credits where they bring some people back for some cameos that leaked on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, no one cares if I spoil it. I take it.
I have absolutely
not care. But I think one of the first of the original three Angels has taken over the spot of Charlie, and using a voice modifier poses as Charlie, who it is established he has passed away.
Okay. All right. Wow. All right. Well, I guess that makes sense. I mean.
Yeah, and the whole thing, the reason why Patrick Stewart is the bad guy is because he thought he was going to succeed Charlie, and he wasn't. He wasn't given that opportunity. It went to a woman, and so he's all resentful, and he's starting his own thing. And Patrick Stewart actually has some jokes that kind of land quite well, but it's nothing really inventive.
I'm not gonna lie, that just sounds cringe.
No, the reason is cringe. The execution is kind of okay and makes logical sense. It's like, a guy you worked with for 40 years and you expect to, replace him because of the age difference and stuff. And then he says, no, I'm going to give it to a woman. And we don't know who the woman is, but they lead you to believe it's one of the original three Angels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know that. I mean, yeah, it could have been I think that twist might have worked better if like you had one of the Angels go bad, like original Angels go bad.
They did that in the second one with Demi Moore.
Yeah,
right?
Demi Moore.
Yeah. So I mean, and that works. I think that had like 36 million opening in 2004 or whatever. But so yeah, I think the issue is like I've been seeing just like kind of just people on Twitter like tweeting out our story. A lot of them said they had no idea this movie was even coming out. Like they didn't even know. They had no idea. They had no idea the movie was coming out. And what's interesting is they actually moved the film. It was actually supposed to come out last weekend or the weekend before, but they moved it because they didn't want it to go against Terminator or whatever. Or whatever, was it 2 weeks or whatever? They had it going up against Terminator, and they moved it because they didn't want it to go up against Terminator. And people still had no idea about it. I mean, that's just really, really bad.
Hey, people forgot that they rebooted the TV series a few years ago.
Oh, I will be honest. I had no idea that when did they do that?
I think 2014 or 15. There was an eight episodes that came out, if I recall correctly. One
News
of
to
my
me.
colleagues was talking about it when we were going to the theater, wondering why the heck we're doing this, because our boss refused to tell us why. It's like, I think it's
you know why?
I think it's a practical joke or something. But what ended up happening afterwards, we were discussing like why this movie didn't work. But I mean, on the side things, like Elizabeth Banks for directing this type of movie, she's better than other directors doing it. It just, the script wasn't there because I think her focus was split three ways between directing, writing, and then acting. I think if she were solely the director or solely an actor, there might have been less fat of the film and it might have been more streamlined. Still,
Yeah, she wrote it too, I think.
Yeah.
I think she screened. Yeah.
She wrote it with about 12 other people. None of them decided to hire me to come in and see if I could fix this before they they went in there.
Their failure right there.
I definitely would have cut a lot of this stuff and tried to make it more streamlined, because there is a movie in there. It's just muddied by a lot of distractions.
So, I mean that doesn't surprise me. I'm actually not surprised that I just think that a lot of the marketing, like, people had no idea about it, and then like I know we were talking about it. We talked about it for a while when Elizabeth Banks was doing all those interviews with like Entertainment Weekly and stuff back in over the summer, which I think that was probably like post. I guess it was like leading up to San Diego Comic-Con. So it was like July 1st. Jorge wrote the story here. She was actually talking with Collider, not Entertainment Weekly. Let me pull it up. Let me do a screen share real quick. So I already had like bad vibes from this interview with Collider. So she said here, blah, blah, I honestly feel the property has all the bona fides of feminism already built in, which it does. I mean,
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. I really didn't have to do much other than honor its entire history, which it sounds like she kind of did.
Except for what she did with Bosley, but yeah.
Right. By that, I mean the original TV show which was what having her become Bosley.
No, it's the original Bosley from this. Patrick Stewart plays the original Bosley, who started the whole thing with him, and he trained every
Bosley
single.
Too?
Yeah, Bosley is like a code name for the mentors who operate teams of angels.
Okay.
Instead, it starts with Patrick Stewart's character retiring instead of taking over the whole agency, and that's where his bitterness comes from, and that's what fuels this story. The believe women aspect, the way that it comes across, at least from Elizabeth Banks's quote, it's not in a Me Too type of way. It's in a like the main character saying, we have a problem with this product, and if we can fix it before it officially launches, we'll be okay. And then one of the guys, the middleman, says, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to launch it. And yeah, that's kind of your inciting incident at its most tame.
Okay. Well, so like when she was like, I mean, I don't know, when you're using that to like market your film though, you have to like, you would think that she would understand that, like, that what that context is, and that's like a pretty divisive like statement within American culture. Like people are there's people on both sides of that fence. Let me see where it is. I'm trying to find that because I know she said that. I thought it was right before this part.
The believe women statement?
Yeah.
I think that's at the very top, like one of the first quotes you have.
Oh, that's the first one. Oh, yeah, there you go. Good call. So, yeah, one of the statements this movie makes is that you should probably believe women. So, like, I mean, when you're saying that's like a Me Too thing. You're saying, like, the movie is about Me Too in your marketing right there. And that's, like, the first thing you're telling, like, that's what you're telling that the statement of the movie is. So that's, I mean, I don't know. That's on her.
And there's nothing like that in the movie. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, why would you like that? That's what I don't understand. It sounds like this is a lot like what happened with Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. these people go on these like PR tours and they start trying to like market their film with all the wokeness, and then when you actually like see the film, it's kind of tame and it's not as much as what you would expect based off of the marketing. And
Yeah, it's like 15% of the movie
yeah,
at most.
I think they're doing it to try and drum up free press from social media commentators, which, I mean, it's a good strategy for cheap marketing. But when you build up a hype in one direction, and you don't deliver on the product, that's where you get an upset. And for some people, I know a lot more people were relieved that Captain Marvel as a movie wasn't as overly woke as they were expecting, but still disappointing to a degree. I mean, if it was super woke, a lot of people would be talking a lot more about it in a lot more of a comedic way, much I guess, The Last Jedi.
I can't even imagine what Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers would be doing to that movie if it had like all the wokeness in it. And Doomcock, man, the entertainment level would be through the roof. So then this is what I think. This is what like really killed her right here, and this is what we kind of went with our headline. Is when we were casting the movie, I wanted really fresh faces. I wanted a diverse cast. It's important that women, the audience for this movie, sees themselves in some part of this movie. And so she's saying that the audience for the film is women, specifically women.
Okay.
Charlie's Angels has always been marketed for men. That's the
exactly right part. It's the same problem that Disney's having with Star Wars. They bought a predominantly male film
male dominated franchise.
Yeah. Like just watch. Like I don't know. Do you guys watch 70 Show? I like my wife and I. We love just watching 70 Show. Like in the background, or just we're like just wanted to sit for something and like just get some laughs. And Eric is like the epitome of who Star Wars is targeted to. Like Jackie doesn't care. Like when there's like they have whole episodes where it's like Eric, Kelso, Fez, and even what's the other guy's name? Curly hair guy. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Kelso?
The one whose brother got put to jail for something?
His dad is like his dad leaves him and he lives in the basement.
Oh, that guy.
He ends up dating Jackie.
The guy who went on to do nothing.
But he's so they're all talking Star Wars and the girls just like don't care. They're like, get off it, stop! I don't want to do Star Wars anymore. And so that's like it's just the same thing.
And fun fact. Tommy Lee Jones was in the pilot for Charlie's Angels back in the 70s, and he still looked like a 60-year-old man.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's impressive.
Fun fact for Mandalorian, though. Second episode, I don't think there were any women.
Not unless the Trandoshans were women.
Dude, it's the baby Yoda is totally a woman.
The baby Yoda is a woman?
Yeah.
Probably. Well, that rhino is probably a mother of that egg, so.
Yeah. It was a female rhino.
I know we'll get into that later, but I just wanted to bring that up as a callback to our
little Star Wars chat.
Star Wars little thing.
But not only does she say like it's the film is for women, she says, I think that's really important. I want the audience to feel a sense of ownership over the film. Like that's just absurd to me. I don't want to feel like I own when I go to watch a movie, I don't ever feel like I want to like own the movie. That's just weird. I don't know. Like
maybe she's alluding to the pop culture statement. Like there's a director that said, I can't remember his name, but he said a quote, and I'll paraphrase, that once the movie debuts, it's no longer mine, it's the audience's.
Okay, well,
but like she does not say it as eloquently.
Right? Yeah.
Mm.
So I can see, if that's what she's trying to say here, that kind of makes sense. Because
that's only half the audience.
That's just like with any art, though. Like,
yeah,
when the art, what is the art is in the eye of the beholder or whatever. I know it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think you can apply it to art too. So like when it's like interpreting art or interpreting like themes in like poems and stuff like that. People can interpret things different ways. So I understand that. I'm not sure if that's exactly what she's trying to say here. But yeah, and so she continues that they could be in this movie, that they could live in this world, it's a real message. So yeah, I'm not really sure that's what she's trying to go for, because she wants to almost feel like these women who are viewing this movie can pretend that they could be like the Charlie's Angels or something. I mean, maybe if she's trying to say that, I don't know. That it's just really weird.
Well, how they recruit Naomi Scott is pretty much like that. I mean, she doesn't even want to be a spy or anything. Like, she doesn't have any wants anyways, but she's involved in this because she's being attacked, and they just decide to recruit her, and it's all gushed over excitement and everything. And I'm thinking, she should either have a want to do this, or she should just kind of want to stay. Like, she's giving up her job, which she still technically has, to put her life in danger constantly for a bunch of people she's just met like 48 hours ago. It's not the same as like the hero's journey, where like the character has a want to have a more exciting or more adventurous lifestyle, and then finds that opportunity, and then has to choose between the safe and normal life and going on this adventure. So you get that refusal of the call aspect. But it's not in this case at all. It's just like, hey, come with us. And she's like, okay, yeah. And it's all just kind of, yeah, it's all over the place. I mean,
when you're saying that, I'm thinking of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Daisy. She's like that hacker, but then like S.H.I.E.L.D. finds her, and she has to make that choice. Does she join S.H.I.E.L.D. or she like continue with like her like hacking that's not really doing anything?
Yeah,
like
there's actually a scene where like Naomi Scott is saying like, I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. I want to be a part of this. And then Elizabeth Banks turns to her and says, you're part of the briefing right now. We're telling you all this stuff. We obviously need you. And I'm thinking, okay, you're subverting a trope, which is good, but this is the first time we're getting of this character wanting to be a part of this mission thing to begin with. And also, how irresponsible is it for this agency to just pick someone who's completely untrained in this one area? She does have skills with regards to like computer programming and hacking, because that's her character. So there is value to her, and it actually pays off, which is nice. It's not Mary Sued. But it's just all weird, like very poorly contrived. I will say this: if you give Elizabeth Banks like a solid 90-minute action film, I think she can direct the hell out of that. I really do. I think if she had a time constraint and it was solely what she's doing, she could do it. Just because there are bits and pieces within this film that are like, damn, that's actually not bad. If the rest of the movie was good, this would probably stand out. But yeah, it's just
that's what I'm hearing from a lot of critics.
So like in this quote, she just kind of like try and like back away from like the movie just being about women. She says here at the end, it's a movie that I want to entertain all audiences, but I did want to make something that felt important to women and especially young girls. So I don't know. She's still kind of like, she's almost like she's backing away, but then she like doubles down at the end. But I think what was even worse is her quotes like right before the film debuted. Let me see if I can find those. And this was with like the Herald Australia or whatever.
That was the men quote, right?
Yeah, it was so bad. It was
well,
like,
her recent comments are kind of going off the wall too.
And so like not only do we have like so I just want to provide a little bit more context. So not only do you have Elizabeth Banks saying that stuff in July, but Kristen Stewart also like described the film as woke in October 2018. So there was a lot of building up to.
Wait, this is the lady that said she couldn't get cast into the MCU because she was in an openly lesbian relationship.
Yeah, that's a lie. She couldn't.
Yeah.
No one would ever say that in Hollywood. Whoever did say that was probably a washed-up agent or casting director that's not working anymore. And the reason that Kristen Stewart isn't really working is she kind of has like a very spotty behavior on and off set, and doesn't really show a whole lot of responsibility when she does get a role. And also her range in acting is quite limited.
Yeah. I think you can say that again.
Yeah.
So here she said, so like a week before the film came out, she was speaking to the Australia's Herald Sun, and she said, "Look, people have to buy tickets to this movie too. This movie has to make money." She added, if this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action movies. Is this an actual stereotype that Hollywood executives have, Script Doctor?
Never heard of it.
Just some, like, I mean, I hear it all the time in the press.
Well, I don't think the press has really been paying attention to Hollywood because greed is the sole purpose that runs Hollywood. There's a little franchise called Resident Evil that made it 6 movies that a lot of men went to see. There's the Underworld films. A lot of men went to see that.
Oh, I own all the Underworld films.
I mean, and those are relatively recent films. So I think I think Elizabeth Banks just didn't have a publicist or a very good one while she was doing this movie because no one really like.
Well, they admit that I think in the interview they say that there's no one there with her. Which the interviewer found very odd, but also like refreshing. Which is interesting. You compare that to Joaquin Phoenix, where he literally got up and walked out of that interview with the Telegraph, and they spent a PR person from Warner Brothers spent an hour to get him back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think personally he was justified to walk out on that.
Oh, completely. I'm surprised he even came back.
Robert Downey Jr. did the same thing when that one so-called journalist tried to talk to him about his party days, the days that he regrets having done because he was foolish by that time and he's overcome it.
That they specifically put in Iron Man.
Yeah,
with that reporter, like that storyline is in the movie.
Yeah, it was just weird. But no, like there's a movie that Angelina Jolie did a few years ago called Salt. Now that script was originally written with a man in mind. But what ended up happening is that a lot of male actors had to pass for scheduling conflicts, but then it got across to Angelina Jolie, I guess, for one of the female interests. But she said, hey, is there any chance I could play the lead? And everybody thought, hey, that'd be a good idea because it wouldn't take much to sort of tweak the character to be female because it didn't have all the spy tropes of like sleeping around with women and all that stuff. It was just kind of a straight like identity crisis type of story. And yeah, like they all just thought it'd be a good idea. There wasn't any agenda or something behind it. That they just wanted to make the movie really bad because everybody really liked the script, and it did fairly okay. Not great, but I mean, it wasn't anywhere near what you're seeing today with like weird recasting and weird female-centric driven scripts that aren't given any effort.
Yeah, Salt. I'm looking it up on the numbers.com. It made $290 million worldwide in 2010.
Yeah, it's pretty good for 2010.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about the numbers, it doesn't tell you like, oh, here it is. Production budget was $130 million. So
they almost broke even on that.
Yeah, it's about even.
Yeah, that's why we didn't get a sequel.
But so she not only like decided to like blame men here, like about this with the stereotype that men don't go see women do action movies. She also had a lot of. I'm wondering if she just saw all the stuff happening with like Scorsese and what's his name, the other guy, Godfather director, whose name
Coppola.
Yeah, Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola. In the headlines, and she decided like, oh, I can take a shot at them too. So she decided to go after comic book movies.
She was in 3 of them, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was in the original Spider-Man movies from Sam Raimi.
She was in Power Rangers.
Yeah, and she was in Power Rangers too. That's
where she met Naomi Scott. So
yeah. So she said they'll go and see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because that's a male genre. So even though those are movies about women, they put them in the context of feeding the larger comic book world. So it's all about, yes, you're watching a Wonder Woman movie, but we're setting up 3 other characters or we're setting up Justice League. Now, I think if she said Captain Marvel, I would probably agree with her there.
Yeah.
I do think Captain Marvel was completely put there to set up her in Endgame and make it think that she's some kind of important character for Endgame. But Wonder Woman... No, we had already seen her in like Batman vs Superman, and then we got this Wonder Woman movie, and it did better than Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than Justice League.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman was the highlight of BVS for me. But
I like BVS. I mean, it had its issues, but I enjoyed it as a.
And that Batman fight scene, Jesus.
I enjoyed the costumes a lot in Batman vs Superman. I thought those were great. Never had an issue with Ben Affleck, but I just felt the timing was off on him. Maybe like for the Nolan trilogy, he probably could have done it.
Oh, you're talking about his age?
Yeah. Well, not really his age, but it's just like his mental state around that time is also pretty dodgy.
Like, I don't know that. Did you watch Triple Frontier?
I actually that's the one where he was in the Amazon and having to. It's like an Ocean's 11 style mercenary film, right?
Yeah.
They build a fake house, they train there, and then they go and rob a guy and fly out with his money in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good movie. And that was I guess that was a little bit after BVS, though, a couple years after. So.
Yeah, that's about after he recovered again from alcoholism. The poor guy.
Yeah, he's still struggling.
Yeah. Well, like one thing that you kind of note, there is like a little bit of a trope. It's not always recognizable, but sometimes when a male actor or sometimes a female actor, when they're at a certain stage and then they get elevated to A-list status, they tend to have their relationships fall apart. And that's usually because of people offering themselves to them, or they themselves have an ego big enough to the point where it just destabilizes their life around them. And as soon as you give a guy like Ben Affleck a big role like Batman, you're feeling sorry for Jennifer Connelly because or sorry, not Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah, she's going to take care of him too.
Yeah, and they met during a superhero movie, so it was like
yeah, Daredevil, right?
Marvel superhero movie. Terrible Marvel superhero movie.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just something to take note. Like you could take a look at the Arrow show on CW. The main guy, he's done with that show. Yeah, Amel, he's done with that show. I am crossing my fingers that the guy does not do a spiral with his career like some of the other CW actors, and he still has a stable and good family because he does a bunch of charity work and things with them together all the time, and it's nice to see that change compared to other Hollywood families where they're kind of bickering and fighting.
I think he's got something going on in Texas or something. So he's got other things going on.
Yeah, so like that's good for him. But usually, like the guy who played Clark Kent on that Smallville show. He got married, and within like a year after the show ended, he got immediately divorced because the money wasn't coming in. So
yeah.
And then that's just kind of how it is in some cases, especially with TV actors on hour-long dramas. So and the same thing happened to another cast member from that show. They were married, and as soon as that show ended, he's now on This Is Us.
Well, we know what also happened with a couple of those other cast members. They were involved in a
God
XIVM cult,
it was like
or whatever.
DOS or something. It was so weird.
Yeah, because Kristen Kroik was in it apparently in the beginning. I don't know if she got out or what, but Allison Mack was like in charge, and there was some other. I think there was some other Smallville chick involved too. So
probably Amy. Crap. Who's the Amy? Was it Amy Adams that played Lois Lane in the Superman?
Yeah, movie? Amy Adams.
She got her start on Smallville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she was kind of tight with that cast for a little bit. Before she got the Disney princess movie, whatever that was.
Enchanted or whatever. She played like a Cinderella type character.
When she got into Disney, she was kind of pulled away from all that Warner Brothers weirdness. Mark's like, yeah, Justin Hartley, that's the guy. That's the This Is Us guy. Yeah, he got divorced as soon as Smallville ended. So, and he was on that show for I think 4 or 5 years. And then
that's a rock and a hard place, though. You got a cult on one side, and then heart-shattering divorce on the other.
Yeah, that's why California is a no-fault state. It's kind of not great for people. I've told every woman I've dated down there, I'm never marrying in California. We're going back to my home country, doing it there, not dealing with that crap. And that is why I'm still single.
So you're saying I should move? Cool.
No, if you got a stable thing, you're good.
Okay.
So what I found really interesting about this interview with Elizabeth Banks in the Herald Sun, it seemed like she was pretty open and honest. So she said that, by the way, I'm happy for those characters to have box office success. She's talking about Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman. But we need more women's voices supported with money because that's the power. The power is in the money. Okay, wow. I think, to me, a lot of the things that I see going on in Hollywood, it seems like, especially like a lot of the Me Too stuff, especially how it got so big and spiraled so quickly, it definitely looked like it was like a power move to like remove certain people from positions in order to like have other more favorable people like move into those positions.
It did create a vacuum. It was a double-edged sword because it did get rid of some people on the medium tiers that needed to go, that have had legit complaints made to them, to the police, to the authorities. But the one big flaw of Hollywood, and even a lot of companies itself, is that those that have power are given it by the people around them. It's not something they really earn. So there's no reason for them to do such a horrible act and for people not to speak up about it. They just choose not to because they think that they actually really do wield the power that they so-called have. It's not. It's everybody else down below that acquiesces or submits to them. So yeah, and then it's just a craziness. Some people are starting to get really, really smart to that and not letting such horrible things and bad decisions of that type go any further. Which is nice, but then there's others that are abusing it. Like J.J. Abrams' wife has her Time's Up thing, which is just Me Too for the Abrams brand, and she's done some crazy manipulation, in my opinion, down there. And yeah, the pendulum's going to swing one way, overcompensate, swing again, overcompensate, and then eventually slow down in the middle before someone knocks it one more time. So the next 5 to 10 years are going to be quite interesting in that industry.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot. I mean, I also think it's going to probably be affected by obviously what's going to happen next year as well.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that.
No.
So she also, like, after this interview with the Herald Sun, she would go on to talk with the Wall Street Journal. And this is what. So she starts talking about Spider-Man movies. And she's like, you've had 37 Spider-Man movies and you're not complaining. Because I guess she's like talking about like critics who were saying like, why do we need another Charlie's Angels reboot or whatever? Or and then she said she followed that up with, I think women are allowed to have 1 or 2 action franchises every 17 years. I feel totally fine with that. Oh, I think it has. I think she's just playing victim status. With the gender card, which we saw back in July, which she was doing as well. I mean, I think that's where I think she's going with that. She's trying to use that victim status, and I think she actually knew that the film wasn't going to do well. Box Office Pro had been dropping their predictions on how much it was going to make, but even they didn't drop it far enough for what it actually did make, because I think they still had it at like 15 million. Opening weekend on the bottom end.
Oh wait, so was that interview with the Hollywood Reporter, was that like a recorded or is that a transcript? Because
it's Wall Street Journal, and that was it was a I don't know if it was recorded or not, but it was text based.
Because something tells me that Elizabeth Banks may have said 3 with regards to Spider-Man, then corrected it to 7, and then it sounded like 37, because there are 7 technical Spider-Man films, but she also knows there's also 3 that she was in.
Right.
So it may have been misconstrued. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it just seems a little hyperbolic in the wrong way from my experience with Elizabeth Banks, which is very at arm's length. But I mean, she has a sharp tongue on her. She has a sharp tongue, and she's not an idiot. But
yeah, she's like from outside Boston, isn't she?
I think so. Yeah. But I think that just might have been maybe a mistranscription. But if she did say it, then she's clearly either very nervous or very unprepared for the publicity tour of this film.
Well, she didn't like the Australia Herald Sun said she didn't have a publicist. So there wasn't anyone there.
Dude, some of that budget has to go to your PR and your advertising. It's like
a $150 million movie, right? Or 180?
Let me check. Let's see if they have it.
Like, I did not hear this movie getting advertised nearly enough.
I didn't even see any ads on Facebook or anything. Even even the website didn't have any ads for it.
There was more ads for Terminator Dark Fate than this movie. And Dark Fate was a flaming trash can. So.
And I just saw my first like a print ad for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, but it was actually more for Bell Internet than it was for that.
Yeah, so the number says it had a $48 million budget.
Oh, okay, that's much less than what I thought it was. I thought it was hundreds.
Yeah, they kept it low. I think that's based off of Hollywood. I think it's one of the Hollywood trades reported that. But I think they said 48 million was what one of their sources told them, but they speculated that it was a little bit higher.
Yeah, because there's a lot of set pieces in there. I mean, it's not action heavy, but there are set pieces. Like there's a horse derby, there's a warehouse thing, there's a couple of big parties, there's 2 car chases, and a bunch of little stunt stuff in there. Like that alone would be at least 65 million without even factoring in cast.
Yeah. So
and it's 2 hours of set pieces repurposed from other films. So.
So after the movie bombed, we had some Twitter action. And Elizabeth Banks went on Twitter.
It's a dangerous place.
Always. I don't know if she said anything recently, but she did say after the movie bombed. She has been tweeting. I don't know if she deleted that tweet or not. She might have. No, here it is. She said here, well, if you're going to have a flop, make sure your name is on it at least 4 times. I'm proud of Charlie's Angels and happy it's in the world. Which, I mean, I think that on the surface, she's just happy. She's proud that she made a film, and then it's out there.
She should be, because it is better than most other action films of its type that come out. Like, there's a lot that come out that don't even hit theaters, that are straight to DVD with similar level of effects and writing. And the fact that she got some attention and people actually saw it is an accomplishment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you hear all these like horror stories. I don't know. I think Don, you wrote about it today about like all these films that just like they never get off the ground. They're stuck in development hell. I mean, how long has it been with Black Adam? I feel like that movie's been talked about since 2014.
Flash is just as long.
Later. Yeah, Flash film too. So yeah, I mean, I think this. There was something. How long has that Uncharted movie been in development?
Off and on for 7 years almost, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think this. Well, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But that Harriet movie apparently has been in development since like 1994.
Yes,
that's what he was saying. So it took him more than 2 decades to get it made.
Benjamin Button, I guess, was something that was in development since the early 50s or 40s. You know that Benjamin Button movie?
I think that was
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I remember the movie. I thought it was based off of a short story that debuted way back then, and then didn't become option for a movie till the 80s.
They wanted it to be a movie. So when from what I understand of development is they're trying to write a script for it or a screenplay. And then if it's stuck in that phase, it forever becomes in that development hell, which, Gambit and the Benjamin Button movie ended up being in for a long time.
Yeah. Well, Mark Wahlberg has like 40 movies stuck in development hell. And some of them are actually really good scripts. It's just finding the right financing, which is usually the biggest problem. Like sometimes they'll have a script that's optioned and then they'll start financing it through other production houses just to get a package so that a studio would want to distribute it. And sometimes there's a director conflict or sometimes there's a producer conflict that wants certain scenes or stuff in there. Like John Peters was famous for wanting a giant spider out of a King Kong door thing for like 30 years, and then he finally got it with Wild Wild West, and and now he doesn't really want to make movies anymore because he's finally got that that scene that he's been talking about, and he's axed a lot of movies because they couldn't figure out a way to organically work that visual that he wanted in. Yeah, like there are some movies that have been in development hell for decades, but it's usually mostly the company that owns the rights to the property, as opposed to what more commonly happens now with screenwriters. So someone will have an original script, they'll get an actor attached or maybe a director attached, and then it'll just start going on the circuit. And it'll either be picked up and developed, and sometimes if it gets a couple stages closer to development, there'll always be a conflict with like the actor or director because they have another project that's probably going to start sooner. So then that gets delayed, and then it goes back and forth. And 20 years later, you get Harriet Tubman movie possibly being made with. I'm not even going to say that. I'll let you, John, say it.
Well, let's wait. Let's wait till we get into that. So Mark actually has a different take on Elizabeth Banks's tweet. He says she's just mad she won't cross over from actress to director. She did cross over. She did make that director, and it seems like you think she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, she got a performance out of Kristen Stewart. Like that takes talent. I think she might fare better as a director than she has as an actor, and she's a really good character actor. So I think that's to her benefit. I don't know. I mean, I'm always going to keep my eye on her because, like, why not? She's talented, beautiful, and fun. But yeah, if she directs another movie, I'm not going to be hesitant to go watch it. Because again, like she pulled off something. It's a mediocre film, but she managed to make sure that each of those characters that were in that movie had their own distinct voice and felt like someone else had written each one. They didn't feel like a Joss Whedon's movie where everybody sounds the same. Like if you just wrote down all those lines and read them and not knew which character was who, you would never be able to distinguish them. In this movie, you could definitely distinguish who is who, and not get confused by that, which is a testament to how she knows how to handle actors, how she can handle plot, how she can handle set pieces and stuff. She needs more experience, but she got her feet wet, and I bet if she got a solid 90-minute movie, she could really do something good with that.
Yeah, I mean, from what you're saying, I mean, like she's got all the basics. My fear is that I think these people always double down on their wokeness. So that's like that would be in there again because she also like I think she gave an interview where she gave another interview and she like specifically said she said something about like she snuck a bunch of like sneaky feminist things into the film and like she's promoting it that way. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe if like she's just the director and not the screenwriter, that I think that could work. But I don't know. I'm hesitant on that stuff. Like I was not going to go see this movie. I just was not interested in it at all. And I watched the two previous Charlie's Angels movies, and I enjoyed them for what they were. Obviously, they were a little campy but had some like fun action sequences, and obviously some gorgeous women in them.
They were deliberate comedies, I think. That's what made it work.
They were action comedies for sure.
Yeah, this one didn't know if it wanted to be an action or a comedy. Yeah, that's why it was 2 hours long.
Well, that's why I'm just saying that would be hesitant, given all the stuff that all the marketing that was done here, and obviously I'm going to probably go see like as I'm saying that I will go see like whatever I saw Endgame, I saw Captain Marvel, and because that's something for my job too. But if I probably wasn't running about it in comics, I probably wouldn't have seen Captain Marvel. Being honest, I would have gone and seen Endgame, but we'll see what happens. But I probably would not see another like Elizabeth Banks movie if it's marketed the same way again.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing was there was a trailer for the movie before the movie when I saw it today, which was kind of weird.
Wait, they put the Charlie's Angels trailer in front of the Charlie's Angels movie?
Yeah, at the theater we have. I don't know if that was intentional or by accident, but it was kind of funny because the theme song that's on the trailer has this specific line that says, "Don't call me an angel." and the movie's called Charlie's Angels, and they're all kind of proud to be angels. So, like, there's no continuity, there's no consistent perspective between the marketing and the movie. So it's just ridiculous, and a lot of us were kind of laughing. Like, even the women that were with us from my staff were laughing at the absurdity of it, and they didn't particularly enjoy it either. They had their own issues, but it was more with just the believability of how easy it was for the women to just get along. She's like, women don't get along that easily.
Yes, but we need to believe all women. No, I totally agree. I think that's something that I hear all the time. When women don't get along, they obviously have their own problems, just like men have their problems too with other people.
Yep.
And we're human beings. We all can like get upset and get irritated, get annoyed with other people. That just happens. That's part of life. But let's get into this Paul. How do you say his name? Paul Feig?
I think it's Paul Feig.
Paul Feig. Okay.
Yeah, I think script doctor's right.
Oh, gosh, these guys, man, they need like on their Twitter handles to tell us how to pronounce their names.
Onyx button, yeah.
Yeah. But so he had, of course, he had to weigh in because he directed Ghostbusters 2016, and he was a lot of the same complaints were happening here because the marketing, of course, was very similar. So he said, quote, anti-male, quote, virtue signaling. God, you guys are boring. So a movie starring women has an agenda. A movie starring men is just a movie. We got it. I'm sure Elizabeth is grateful for your mansplaining. Thanks for taking the time to be helpful. He would delete that tweet within 24 hours. But
I guess he says that in the mirror so he can go to bed at night.
Yeah, I guess. It's just, why did you even weigh in? Like, you knew you were just going to get savaged.
I'm still waiting for Rian Johnson to chime in.
Oh,
once Knives Out gets a broader release, he's going to chime in.
Yeah, totally. I would not be surprised if there's a red carpet question at somewhere where he gets it, where he weighs in on that. It's coming, you know it. But yeah, I don't like. Does he even have anything coming out?
Knives Out.
Not that I have heard.
No, John, like Feig.
Oh, Feig. Geez.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's doing anymore.
Oh.
Well, yeah, after Ghostbusters, he kind of vanished a little.
Yeah, he kind of ghosted, huh?
I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you decide to throw away the script and then just do improvisation for 2 hours.
That was another movie I did not see.
Oh God, he did Last Christmas with Emilia Clarke.
Oh, the new one.
Oh, is that? Oh, he did that. I have not seen that. I saw people were talking about it, but
okay.
Are you sure? Oh, I'm looking at actors. Why is he? Okay.
Yeah, he directed it. It's got a 6 on IMDb. I completely forgot about that.
He's got another movie called Girls Code coming out. It's yeah. So that's just doubling down. Of course, you got to always doubling. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm afraid of like what's going to happen with Elizabeth Banks going forward. Because once they make these statements, they have to like double down. I think the only person where like, and this isn't like they're talking about wokeness, but like the only like breath of fresh air I've really seen in Hollywood recently is Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which I was like shocked that I was absolutely shocked that they did that, and it looks 100 times better as well. Like they actually improved it and listened to what fans were complaining about, and they probably realized it sucked too, but.
It's so weird because you see on this side of the fence Elizabeth Banks and Feig, whatever's, and Rian Johnson, just these bad examples of people who listen to the crowd and just lash out at him. And then you get that studio Paramount just, okay, we're listening to your concerns. We're going to take this back to the drawing board and rework it, and
we're going to delay the movie.
Put out a better product.
Well, Paramount's always been a cautious studio. I mean, they were the first place to hire me as an intern before they split, and they were awesome. But at this point right now, because they've kind of screwed up with Star Trek and they foolishly sold Marvel, they need a franchise to bring in some cash, and they're hoping it's going to be Sonic. Now it won't. I don't think the fan base is going to be big enough, and I have my reservations about how successful the movie will be because James Marsden's in it, and he's not really a big draw. Even though I like him as a character actor, he's kind of like a lead. You got Jim Carrey coming back, kind of returning to form, but that form doesn't, I think, translate now in the current market.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a video game movie.
It's extremely divisive.
Yeah, and a video game movie doesn't really tend to do well aside from that Resident Evil series we mentioned earlier.
I'm looking up. So I think my guess, I will assume that it will perform similarly to Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
if it does, that'll be pretty good.
You have gamers who will be like, "Yeah, I'll give this movie a fair shake."
I hope
Detective Pikachu made $429 million worldwide, $144 million domestic.
It also did have some brilliant marketing by Ryan Reynolds, and I think that's what Ryan Reynolds is probably going to do later. I think Ryan Reynolds will eventually get into like Hollywood marketing, like full time, when he retires from acting, because he's really good at it.
Oh, dude, he's brilliant.
Yeah,
and the people
the viral marketing he does, the
people he has around him who are helping him come up with that stuff. Even like all the stuff he does with Hugh Jackman with like their coffee and their
the
gin, yeah, and then his like banter with Blake Lively.
Yeah, it's
great.
He has a genuine. He's a really, really great liar. Like that's why he's so fun to be around. Like, and he fully admits that he likes lying and being able to deceive people. And when he does these types of ads, he comes off as genuine while also saying these horrible lies. Like whenever he talks about sacrificing his wife to save his children, he's lying, but he's also got some truth to it as well. Like, I'll do anything to save my kids, but I'm just going to sacrifice my wife instead of myself because then I get to hang out with my kids.
And I see it as like stand-up. It's very similar to stand-up comedy. He's like telling a story. That's how that's how he's got that like going for him there.
He's figured out the way he can brand the stuff that he does. I bet if he did that for Green Lantern, it probably would have been a lot well received.
I don't know, man. That movie was
there's that whole scene where he goes to ask for help and then he says, "Well, let me help then." It's like they're not stopping you, man. Like, were you paying attention to what you're reading here today? Yeah,
that movie was not good. Especially I don't know if you've ever seen the animated Green Lantern.
I've seen the animated cartoon, which was great by Bruce Timm.
Fantastic.
The two animated movies were okay. I will give props. The special effects guys for that scene where Parallax is going through the city and Green Lantern's like doing all those constructs of like the railgun and like catapulting stuff. That was pretty good.
No, I thought the constructs were all really cool. Like even in the party scene.
The part, with the
race car,
the race cars, the toy race cars, the Matchbox,
and the helicopter coming down. Yeah,
I mean, there should have been more of that, but that's I think the reason that movie did so poorly is they were also trying to write the sequel at the same time as make that film, and so every time they came up with a new idea for the sequel, they had to sort of readjust what they're shooting to make sure it doesn't contradict and fit in line with it. So when you're not focused on the movie that you're making and focused on the movie that you want to make later, the original movie suffers, and that's what I ended up learning from Tom Lennon and Robert Baron Garrett, because they're the big script doctors of Hollywood. Like they've made the most money out of anybody fixing scripts and making movies, and they're the Reno 911 guys. Like it's just ridiculous. But
no, I think you hit that on the head, because we talked about that with The Mandalorian. I think last Friday we were talking about that. I think it was The Mandalorian. It was one of our episodes. It was either last Friday or last Tuesday. You were talking about that basically no film does well when they're already planning the sequel. Terminator Dark Fate, perfect example. James Cameron was talking about doing a trilogy a year before the film came out, and
same with Genesis.
Dead. So, yeah.
The only thing that's kind of worked was Lord of the Rings, but that's because it's an adaptation of a completed story.
Right.
That's your workaround.
Game of Thrones.
The exception is that if it's an adaptation, so you already have it.
An adaptation that has a conclusion, yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Game of Thrones didn't have a conclusion. The first 4 seasons I hear were really good, and then it just kind of petered out.
That's yep. I can concur with that.
Yep.
Yeah, like you don't want to plan like Star Wars. The original trilogy was never planned as a trilogy. They just figured it out each movie as they went along, and it just happened to be 3 films, even though by the end of Empire, Lucas was thinking about making it 6, and then his divorce hit, and he's like, nope, not doing this anymore, finishing it off, being a dad, hell with this, love it, but can't focus, and then that's why we got Jedi.
Yeah, and I do think though that like if we're gonna go to Star Wars here for a little bit, like I know that that's kind of like it seems like they've talked about like replicating that kind of process where you just like pass it off to the next person for the next film, and that's what they talked about with Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi. If you're actually planning a trilogy, I would think you would like write it out so you know what you're doing instead of like, oh, let me just jump from this to this. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
no,
like,
you're right. It's I mean, no one has ever really planned out a trilogy before, like ever. I guess George Lucas didn't even plan out the prequel trilogy the way you thought it was going to happen.
Oh yeah, because he cut out Jar Jar. Like,
there's that.
He readily admits that he had originally envisioned Jar Jar being much more involved,
more the Chewbacca of the series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he writes one movie at a time, and also George Lucas is an experimenter. He can't plan out a trilogy because he doesn't know what new toys or technology will come next that he would want to play with. Disney, on the other hand, I believe full-heartedly that they broke down 3 movies, and then they just kind of tossed it aside when they were trying to make The Force Awakens, because they unfortunately, like Lawrence Kasdan, he's a pretty decent writer. He's got a lot of fans behind them, and rightly so, because he does have his names on Indiana Jones and Star Wars, but he had other people that could guide him and get the best out of him, and JJ's not that type of guy. He's the guy he's a cinematographer. JJ's a cinematographer. He knows how to plan out a set piece. He knows how to shoot it. But when it comes to like story and character, he can talk the talk, but he can't walk the walk.
He knows how to have those ships come out of the sky or the clouds and the ice.
He knows how to do great visuals, which is what a second unit director and a cinematographer and storyboard artist can do. But The Force Awakens is half a movie, and it's it's just as long as the original Star Wars, and it doesn't have anywhere near the content or depth of the original. And because of that, because it's a setup film as opposed to being a contained story that can stand on its own, you're then putting pressure on the next guy to follow. And when the next guy decides to say, you know what, to heck with what I have to do next, I'm just going to tell my own thing, then you have to put all the weight on the third film. And I can see why Colin Trevorrow was taken away from that, because he's like, how the hell am I supposed to right this ship that's been tipped over because it was teetering when the first guy came in, and then the other guy just decided to abandon the whole thing, and it just capsized, and now I have to sort of write it all by myself. That I hear he got really upset, and then that's what caused him to be booted off. So
yeah, those are the rumors that he was not happy with what happened in Last Jedi, and I guess they had like a rough outline of what was supposed to happen, and it was kind of thrown out the window. And he didn't like what was going on. He especially didn't like what happened with Luke. Those are the rumors that I've seen.
Yeah, the rumor was
with Kennedy. So
the rumor, and they didn't know this at the time, but the whole rumor was either going to be like The Force Awakens was the Han Solo mentor movie. Last Jedi was supposed to be either the Leia or the Luke movie. They weren't 100% on that when they were making The Force Awakens, but it ended up becoming, I guess, the Luke film. Oh, we lost Don.
Yeah. Oh no.
And then the third one was supposed to be Leia, but I mean, on paper, I can see that being a good strategy. It's like, yeah, have one movie, have one mentor for each movie, just to sort of help these new characters drive in. On a concept level or on paper, that sounds great. But because of the weight behind what each of those mentor characters represent, and the fact that you don't put them together to bridge that flow into the new part, that's what really kind of hurt them. Because you started them all separately, and it boggled my mind when I started hearing about that. It's like, yeah, there's no Luke in the Force Awakens. I'm like, what? No Luke's? Like, yeah, he's at the end. It's like, what does he say? Nothing.
Yeah, he turns around.
He turns around. It's like, what was he doing? Taking a leak off that cliff? And he's like,
Well, he probably was. I mean, that's probably
wearing
what
his
he was
finest
doing.
whites. That's a brave thing to do.
It was that he had just had some of the alien juice, and it went through his system really quickly.
The manatee milk or
So,
something. Yeah.
All right. I know Mark asked in the very beginning of the chat. Yeah, we're going all the way back to the beginning of the stream. He wanted to know, because I think he was probably watching our good friend Gary Beekler, Nerdrotic. He wanted to know what we thought of the second episode of The Mandalorian, and we discussed that for about an hour, I think, on Friday.
Yeah.
But I think we can just give a little, like, I think we stand out among. I think we have a very different opinion than a lot of other people do on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised. One of my friends who does script consulting sent me an email about how much he loved the second episode, and I was like, dude, it violates everything you teach to your students. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, what happens in the show? His ship gets put on cement blocks, and then he has to go buy breakfast to the guys that robbed him and to get it back. And that's essentially it. Like, nothing really happened in that episode. He didn't even get an armor upgrade. He just got a side quest with a little bit of XP.
Yeah, like so if you haven't been watching our reviews, we see The Mandalorian as an RPG on TV. So he goes on like in the first episode, he's obviously like leveling up. He gets his new armor, but in the second one, he's, like you said, he goes on a side quest to rescue or to retrieve this like egg in a tech, like, he's literally, the only reason why he takes a side quest though is because these people stole his stuff, and he was just like killing them all, like not 5 minutes before he's sitting down and like negotiating with them to get his stuff back. It's just, I don't know, it's a little hard to believe.
Yeah, and then the next episode coming Friday, if that's another like filler quest, I really hope it ends up tackling the question of, will the Mandalorian give up this innocent child to this evil empire, or will he try and protect it? And I think he's going to try and protect it, but
that's so obvious. I mean,
he gives it up and then tries to steal it back.
Yeah, the Baby Yoda like doing the Force was so obvious, and I think it's so obvious that he's going to protect the Baby Yoda as well. So,
I'm of the opinion that they're writing this script based off of the roll of the dice. So the Mandalorian does a convincing roll for the
like a crit 20.
For convincing roll for the guy joining his team. Oh, he rolled a 5, and he doesn't join his team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's at the end with Nick Nolte's Ugnaught character.
The Ugnaught.
I have no idea what his name is.
And then the GM had to step in to have the NPC save the Mandalorian because, hey, the beast was too high a level for him.
Yeah.
And then what he did is he rolled like a 20 or something with a knife. Critical hit on the beast after the GM helped him.
That part was so bad. That part was so bad. I like one hit kill the beast, and with that like little tiny knife, just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, I've rolled some good dice with just crap back in my role playing day, and
yeah, miracles like that can happen. The Gary Gygax effect, I guess.
But I don't think that's the way to write a script.
It's really, I mean, there is a way. We do have a dice rolling joke in script writing where it's like you have like 6 or 7 ideas and you roll the dice and then you just take whatever number that is. That's the idea you run with, and you just take it as far as you can to see if you'll come up with something entertaining. Most of the time you don't, but at least you work out the bad ideas until you stumble on something that really works. But here it's just like they did it once and they just said, okay, let's just go with the rhino and the egg thing and have some fun with that. And then Mark Lacerda said he suspects that some people repurposed the Boba Fett script, and
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I think
I mean, they admitted that the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie script is being repurposed for the Obi-Wan series. It would make sense that the Boba Fett one would be too.
And those script, like Disney's been doing an amazing job on keeping their scripts tight because, like, some of my writer friends and myself included, we get passed around scripts that are in production from big movies all the time. Like I got the Joker script, which was great. I've got part of an outline for the Avengers Endgame. It's only like the first half, which is pretty much what's in the movie anyways. So it doesn't really have any value now. But like for Disney, everything is just so close to the chest. Like even like one of my friends who works there, I was like, "Hey man, can you give me like a little hint?" He's like, "I haven't even seen it. Like it's like 12 people see the script before the actors do, and the actors only get pages."
Yeah, they like don't even give some of the. I think they said what Cumberbatch got like the full script, and he was like only like one of the only people that got it.
Yeah.
So.
Hey Drew.
How's it going, Drew? Welcome to the party.
Sorry, I'm fashionably late. I had a buddy stop by, and he didn't leave till just a couple minutes ago. So,
yeah. So we were talking a little. We were just giving a brief little recap on the Mandalorian because Mark was asking about it.
Star Wars RPG.
Yeah.
that's basically.
Just play SPORTOR, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the bounty hunter story in Star Wars: The Old Republic. There you go, guys. And you even get the Great Hunt, which we don't get in The Mandalorian.
Yet.
Well, he does hunt the rhino, though.
Yeah, it gets
Or
more
tries
like
to, I guess.
more like gets his ass kicked by the rhino.
Yeah, he doesn't even like. He just like literally is so stupid. He goes and invades a wild animal's den without like scoping it out or like.
Should just rolled a thermal detonator in there first.
That's like one thing that bothered me, John, about that episode too, is the fact that the guy didn't even go like check around to see like, hey, maybe I should scout out this thing's lair or something like that, or
he has zero situational awareness. Like he just leaves his ship in the middle of nowhere, doesn't protect it. It gets like stolen by the Jawas. Like,
he's the best in the parsec, which I guess there's a lot better.
That's
outside
a low
of that
bar.
parsec.
Well, he can beat the crap out of a bunch of like lame-o Trandoshans, though.
Yeah.
When it comes to like hand-to-hand combat,
he can disintegrate some Jawas. That's pretty good.
That would be fun, though.
Not to start a controversy, but to borrow a term from wrestling, is Mandalorian a jobber? Do we have to ask that question?
But yeah, so I think we're all of the opinion that it had a lot left to be desired, especially with like the plot and the characterization and the connectivity and the story.
But it had Baby Yoda, so everybody went nuts.
Yeah. Listen, I am on Amazon every day looking for that toy. I want it. I'm going to mount it on my shoulder every broadcast that we do for The Mandalorian.
You don't want that furry egg?
No, I'm good.
The magic yellow juice? Come on, man. Way cooler than Baby Yoda.
I think that's why the Jawa's eyes were red in that one. They're high off of the egg.
I think that was a letdown too. It was a joke. The entire side quest like turned into a joke.
Yep. And he had to build his own ship back. He didn't get the Jawas to fix it. Like
yeah, he should have like forced them to do it too. Like
Jawas are strippers. They're not.
I think that's like my biggest issue. Dude, I
do not want to see a Jawa stripper.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, was there a pole inside and the Jawas was stripping?
Come on.
Yeah, Mark says it's not actually Baby Yoda, it's Baby Yaddle. Yeah, probably. Speaking of something else that's absolutely like just crazy. So this story dropped. I guess Entertainment Weekly had it today, and I think it's from an interview earlier this month, like in November, and it went under everyone's radar. But the Harriet screenwriter, Gregory Allen Howard, who's been working on this script since 1994. He said that. So in this Q&A he did with Focus Features, which I think is the production company for the film, he told them they asked him about the history of the project. So like it wasn't like a pointed question about it. So this is what he had to say. He said, Harriet, which was set up at Disney 26 years ago, was my first assignment. When I got in the business, I wanted to tell these historical stories by turning them into entertainment. I didn't want to give history lessons. I wanted to turn Harriet Tubman's life, which I'd studied in college, into an action-adventure movie. The climate in Hollywood, however, was very different back then. I was told how one studio head said in a meeting, quote, "This script is fantastic. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman."
Oh God, can you imagine that in 2019?
If that was set in the 90s, I believe it.
Yeah, can you imagine that in 2019? No, that would be just hilarious.
Oh,
I would love
it is happening in 2019 though.
I would love to see the meltdown on social media about that. Like all the triggered like SJWs would come out of the woodwork. Like, oh my God, it's blackface.
But so it gets even worse. So he said, when someone pointed out that Roberts couldn't be Harriet, the executive responded, quote, "It was so long ago, no one is going to know the difference."
Oh,
yeah.
I've met executives like that.
Oh, I mean, I think it's very obvious that these people exist in Hollywood still to this day. That's why we're getting a Jeffrey Wright, Jim Gordon. That's why we're getting that's why the entire like Eternals is basically not looking like anything like the comic books.
See, Jeffrey Wright is a great actor, and he could do a Jim Gordon, but I would prefer him as a cartoon character, like voice acting it. Just
well,
so
you're gonna get that. He's playing I think he's the Watcher in the What If series.
I mean,
yeah.
Is it the Watcher? He's someone who's like narrating that entire animated series.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the voice for it, but
yeah, it would just be nice to see an overcorrection the other way instead of like the current way.
Oh, they did that recently. The Batwoman cast a white woman as Alfred Pennyworth's daughter, like she was traditionally, not the New 52 style, and people lost their minds.
No, but I mean,
I thought Mary Sue had a big article on that.
But no, I would just love to see like a like a white woman cast to play a black woman,
like a white woman playing Storm.
Yeah, that would be just great.
Because there are white Africans.
Because I just want to
get Charlize Theron to play the Black Panther. Come on,
Charlize Theron, yeah, she's from South Africa.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I saw people were like, I watched Eric July's video on the Julia Pennyworth thing. I just thought that was just hilarious that the Mary Sue was getting so upset because they used the traditional Julia Pennyworth character for the casting.
Well, he was up in arms about the studio floating the idea of Xavier and Magneto being black, right?
He wasn't up in arms. He said like he talks about that being tokenism, but I think he's just like resigned. I think he's resigned to be like, this is what Hollywood's going to do, and that's what they're doing. And he was just like, expect it, like they're going to do that. It's going to happen. I mean, we're seeing it with the Eternals. We're seeing all like with the Batman casting. It seems to be going that way. Like DC seems to be following suit. Birds of Prey with Black Canary. I mean, it's whatever they're doing with Black Mask. If those rumors are true with his sexuality and Victor Zsasz. So I mean, all that stuff is just gonna keep coming.
I know.
Because they can get away with it in the comic book movies because people they want to go see these comic book movies where they can't get away with it, and even if it isn't in those movies to the extent that their marketing makes it seem like it is, they can't get away with them in movies like Charlie's Angels, Terminator, Dark Fate, Men in Black. The list goes on. That aren't like the mainstream, like the big mainstream ones.
I'm just surprised we never got a black muscle-bound Terminator like Terry Crews as the Terminator. That would have been something.
Yeah,
Oh,
That would have been cool.
yeah. Why did we never get that? I wonder that myself.
Yeah.
See,
I
now
wonder
that would
that too.
work.
Yeah,
Did we ever
because
get that in any of the comics?
I don't think so, and I don't even think they
No.
did it in the Sarah Connor Chronicles either.
Yeah, they didn't. They never had a black Terminator actually.
We
which
did
is
have a
funny.
female Terminator, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, we had the we had the androgynous
Christina
woman.
Loken.
I think if they did, I mean, now that I bring it up, and now that I
T3
think
had a
about it
female Terminator,
with a
too.
comic sensibility, I think if they did have a black Terminator, it would be shot more often by police as opposed to being chased away.
Yeah, probably. I would. I was gonna say, yeah, Christina Loken, man. God, she was hot at one time.
God.
Yeah,
Blood Rain?
I don't know.
Anybody? Blood
I
Rain?
haven't,
Yeah, I've seen Blood Rain, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't watched T3 in a while, but I don't remember it being horrible. Maybe I'm.
No, it wasn't terrible.
No,
It had its campy moments, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fairly decent movie. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great. It was just meh.
I
yeah,
thought the veteran. If I remember correctly, there was like a scene where he had to like go get drugs from like a vet.
yeah,
facility or
veterinarian.
something?
Claire Danes was the veterinarian,
Okay.
and what's his name? Who replaced Edward Furlong as John Connor? That's how he met Claire Danes before she started learning how to cry in Homeland.
But yeah, this story about Harriet Tubman is just ridiculous.
It really is, but I can totally believe it
was
happened.
great, though.
And I also believe that someone probably told Julia Roberts about this, and she just balked laughing, like, "No, I'm not playing."
I
Harriet."
read that article.
Rightly so.
Laughed my behind off, dude. That was great.
So he doubled down. He wrote an op-ed in the Los Angeles Times. What's his name here? Gregory Allen Howard. And he said, picture 1994. This is a great script. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman, said the then president of a studio label. Fortunately, there was a single black person in that studio meeting 25 years ago who told him that Harriet Tubman was a black woman. The president replied, that was so long ago, no one will know that. So he's like staying consistent with his story.
Sadly, he's kind of 25 years ahead of his time with regards to your average person's knowledge of history.
I will agree with that. I think a lot of people have I think there's a lot of lack of understanding of history.
There is
right now.
I mean, there is, dude, and part of it is the fact that certain factions politically are trying to conveniently omit parts of history or sort of have them glossed over so that people don't pay attention to them and things like that, but there's a complete lack of regard for educating people on history, and it sucks. It really does, because that was one of the things I took pride in when I know back when I was in high school and in grade school, was learning history was one of my favorite things. I'm sure pretty much the same for most of you. Probably it was fascinating.
Yeah, history was one of my favorite subjects. I took multiple courses in college. I took like a Byzantine history course, which interestingly enough, they never called themselves the Byzantines. They always considered themselves Romans. Fascinating.
Oh, I love world history because our species were such dicks to each other then, as we are now, but just far more comically so.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a concerted effort on some people's parts to gloss over or just entirely
revisionist.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is terrible, because if you forget how bad we were in our past, the stuff we do now would seem terrible by comparison.
Well, sure. Oh, well, it's always been the thing, Script Doctor. Traditionally, you have to have history out there, both good and bad, because you can learn from the past mistakes of your ancestors, and that is such an important thing. And I've always believed in that concept. And to have people now, just because they're triggered, like, oh, we can't talk about that part of history. Well, sorry, it happened, whether you're triggered by it or not.
It's a source of inspiration for our entertainment too. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's why you don't see enough cautionary tales being made now, because people are so scared to make them in fear of triggering somebody. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of historical stories that should be revisited.
Speaking of that, I actually want to we didn't even have this on our list, but I want to kind of want to bring this up because I think it's a good segue. This CBR writer, where is it here? His name is like Ronaldo something, I think. And he was talking about how the Joker film, here it is, or no, the Invisible Man film, which we only have a trailer of, is more toxic and dangerous than Joker. Yeah, this was an article on CBR. Here, let me pull up Jorge's response to it.
How does he figure?
I think the premise of that is like this guy faked his death and he's torturing this woman that he had a crush on.
Yeah. So he says that's misogynistic.
I mean, kind of, yeah, but like
right, yeah. So that's the whole point of the film, though, right?
If she wins in the end, then it's like great.
The end of the trailer is her like stabbing him while he's invisible.
So the ending of the movie.
Yes, they pretty much give it all away. So
I'm not surprised. It's like the trailers now.
So this is what this guy had to say. He said, "This is a movie about controlling a woman and gaslighting her to the point where she thinks she's insane. It's very tone deaf given the male-dominated and at times chauvinistic society we live in, where some men do seem to think they have ownership over women's bodies. We see it in brands, the corporate and business world, and the entertainment industry, which is known to objectify women's bodies. So why should a man like Adrian own Cecilia's mind? It's another distasteful plot of a man wanting to have power over an innocent woman." But let me get to. I'm going to skip down here to the bottom because this is what I think what we're talking about. So in conclusion to his article, this guy says, "Where is it here? That's not it. Where is it? Here, right here. That said, the concept of the Invisible Man has always been problematic. Most notably in the movie Hollow Man from 2000, the character stalked victims, even committing sexual assault. So why should a man who wants to subjugate a woman and make her his mental slave not be treated with the same disdain in this day and age's more politically correct times? After all, Adrian's not obsessed with heists and that lead to him stealing physical objects, but he is violating a woman's mind and stealing her freedom in more ways than one. If you don't know, The Invisible Man is literally a century-old novel written by H.G. Wells in like 1896, I think.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
And this guy is literally saying the concept of the Invisible Man that has been around for over a century, is problematic and should never be like actually shown on screen. Maybe he should read Gone Girl or watch Gone Girl because they literally did. It's this Invisible Man trailer looks very similar to Gone Girl to me.
Well, what I think is ironic is that you have a male character manipulating a woman through her mind when that's normally a female tactic on men, just like mind games.
Right? Hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you saw that in Gone Girl. That's exactly what happens in Gone Girl. She stages the murder. She makes it look like he murdered her. It's crazy.
I kind of want to write an Invisible Woman movie now.
Well,
not Fantastic Four-ish, but like just actual woman who's invisible torturing other women.
Something you touched on there, though, SD, is the fact that I mean, if roles were reversed and it was like that, but she was torturing a man, it would be acceptable. It would be fine. people would be like, oh, that's what men get.
I mean, Gone Girl was a very successful film.
Yeah. If they made the male character like the villain in that type of concept, and say the mid-act turning point was the woman becoming invisible and then getting her revenge, yeah, you have a good argument for that. If it starts off where like she decides I'm just going to torture this random guy that I went on a bad date with, then you're dealing with some really horrible female toxicity there. But it would still be kind of fun, and I could see it being a really fun concept going in that way. I would rather prefer an Invisible Woman film where she does what I hear a lot of my female friends say, which is just like, eavesdrop, manipulate, and get revenge on all the women that they're friends with that they hate. And I'm like, why are you friends with if you hate them? She's like, well, you got to be friends with somebody that's not a man. And I'm like, okay. But that's just my sort of niche area there. I don't know. I can't make an assumption for the whole gender, and I refuse to anyways. But I think having something fun like that could work as a film. I might tinker around with that later and see if I can pitch that around in the summer.
Oh man, I am so glad I know you, Don. Your sense of humor is twisted. you bring out the bad in me even worse. I love it.
Well, the other thing you have to remember is that every invisible character, they're naked walking around in whatever scene. So if you have an invisible woman, and you just have to incept the idea for every producer's like, yep, she's naked. They're doing all this stuff, and they're like, ooh, yeah, okay, nudity without having to see nudity. So it's all in the head.
Well, I don't know. You could. I think with technology now, there's like they have this idea of like light refraction, whatever, and it's like material that you could wear. So you could play with that.
I think
too.
I've seen
I
that.
don't think they have to be naked. But the naked idea would probably be more interesting, right?
Yeah, remember
the chemical change of the body, right? So
remember those things like in comic books and when we were kids, John, they had the X-ray glasses you could buy.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like
I think I have that page in my old Doctor Strange reprint.
I think I got that in the Spider-Man.
People would buy those like thinking, oh wow, see a naked chick.
I think that's from like Bond, isn't it? Wasn't there like a Bond movie where he gets glasses where he can like see through everything?
I think that's the one with Halle Berry.
Okay, so it was a little. That's a little afterwards then.
Yeah, Die Another
Tomorrow
Day.
Never Dies.
Yeah,
or Die Another Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun little scene.
There was a comedy take on Invisible Man too back like years ago.
Chevy Chase, yeah.
Oh
yeah, Chevy Chase.
There's been numerous TV.
The Memoirs of an
movies.
Invisible Man.
Wasn't there that one though, like Zapped or something? It was like some stupid movie.
Scott Baio and Zapped, yeah. That's telekinesis.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I shouldn't remember that, but I do.
Those were like, because there was like that plethora of comedy in the 80s that had like sort of like these offshoots of these concepts, and it was basically just
Teen
like
Wolf.
Yeah. It was basically just like comedy movies that had excuses to have full frontal nudity, which hey, look,
yeah,
as a 12, 13-year-old boy, I didn't mind. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that Christina Nguyen film. I remember that. Nobody?
I remember Porky's. That was
that's classic. I mean, that's classic. I don't think there's anybody that hasn't seen that. That like at least around our general age group. That's a coming of age tradition.
Oh, that's got Kai Wynn in there too, playing also a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
For his little Star Trek DS9 there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, there's just like Mark says he remembers an Invisible Woman show in the 80s where the guy was
rubbing something in the elevator, saying something soft and pushy. Oh, plushy.
Plushy.
Oh God, man.
Oh, hey, how's it going, Demonic Bioman? Welcome to the chat. If you, I think this is a good time. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button.
Mash that like button, my guy. This is great. By the way, people like that tweet I put out earlier, guys, comparing Bounding into Comics to the Bullet Club. People like that.
Oh, nice.
Drew, I know we have not talked about Star Trek yet. Did you want to lead the way on that?
Yeah, so we got this interesting piece of news that SD, what's that dude's name?
Noah Hawley.
Yeah, Noah Hawley.
Legion.
Legion.
Yeah, he's doing the next Star Trek movie, and they're gonna have the Pinecast back, which is good because I mean, I was down to see more of like Bones because Carl Urban knocks Bones out of the park. So
Yeah, he does a good job.
I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm all there for that. And I like Pine's version of Kirk. So I mean, I will definitely, very likely see that movie.
He found his way in the third one more than any of the other two, I felt.
So he's coming back. Chris Pine is supposedly coming back.
Oh yeah, they're coming back for that, John. They're all
Siler too.
Quinto.
Yeah.
I don't think he never really had exited. It was Hemsworth and Pine were the ones who announced that they would not be doing a fourth film because of contract, monetary
contract and money,
contracts. Yeah. And then Hemsworth came out later and was like he had an issue with the script or something.
Well, there technically wasn't really a Star Trek 4 script. That was the biggest problem. I have reservations because I really liked Noah Hawley's work a lot. I loved his Fargo series. I thought it was brilliant. I don't know how much leverage he's going to get with Kurtzman and JJ still attached as rights holders for the series.
Yeah.
Oh, Bad Robot.
Yeah. Before anybody gets happy about it, it is going to be a bad reboot movie. So do keep that in mind. But the movies aren't. I don't think the movies are done that badly. I've never had a problem with the actual JJ Trek movies. Some people do.
Jorge does.
Personally, I do not. I found them to be okay. I actually liked 2009 Star Trek, and I actually liked Into Darkness.
Oh, really? Oh, I was more I liked Beyond better. 2009 was okay, except the whole first act and the motivation of the villain is just nonsensical. I always think it's more powerful to have a main character lose a parent they know as opposed to growing up without meeting one, because it's an absence that they've already lived with, and he
could have blamed Spock for killing his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely condense that first act where Kirk is on another ship, and then he hears the transmission of his dad sacrificing himself to stop this bigger thing. And Kirk's entire motivation is to basically to almost mutiny the current ship to go try and rescue his father, or at least get revenge. And then that still can get you to exactly where you are in the rest of the movie, where he's having a conflict with Spock, Pike's been kidnapped, etc., etc.
Right.
And it's all within a constrained time frame. But they do two time jumps. They do Kirk's birth, and three. Kirk's birth, then when he's a kid stealing the car, then he's at the academy, and then 2 years later where he's now captaining the ship or whatever. That's a lot of time jumps. That's a lot of restarts of your film. And
that Corvette was really nice.
That wasn't a car.
That was a nice Corvette.
Yeah, to be fair, at first I didn't like Into Darkness, and then I selfishly kind of liked it after a while because when I was
Peter Weller.
back when I was playing STO, I got the Vengeance Dreadnought, and I was flying it around, and I'm like, okay, and it made me become a little bit more of a fan of Into Darkness.
Dobbin is saying something that there is new transport tech in Star Trek that makes starships pointless.
Yeah, they totally misunderstood what transwarp means, so they do transwarp beaming, which doesn't make sense.
Wait, what?
Star Trek 2009 introduced the idea of transwarp beaming, which is what Scotty.
When they were beaming onto a moving ship.
Moving onto a ship traveling at warp, yeah.
Right.
Which, it does remove the need for starships if you can just beam from one planet to another without a pad. Cool ideas that when you expand them to its its full potential kind of take away the brilliance of the original concept, like say ramming a starship into a fleet of other starships at hyperspeed. Even though that was an idea thrown around in '99 about what would instigate the Galactic War, would be akin to what later happened being 9/11, basically Hutts or Mandalorians crashing into the capital city with hyperspeed. And then Obi-Wan on an investigation to find out who did that and why, and then he discovers Anakin, and that was one of the story ideas being tossed around. I don't know how legit that was, but it was quite interesting. But it was also explained why nobody does hyperspace like that. Also, because of the damage that it would do to anything that got in its way.
So the other,
I mean, I always felt like Star Wars had that pretty much. I mean, when I played KOTOR, I remember that when you're on the ground, they have like there's like I mean, even in Empire, there's like defensive shields. That's why they have to land ground troops
to get around it. Yeah,
to get around it to destroy that shield generator. I just assumed like obviously they had something that prevented hyperspace suiciding.
But they threw that out in The Force Awakens with the Millennium Falcon hyperspacing beyond the Starkiller base shield. So it's trying to tell you that shields don't protect you from hyperspace, which makes me wonder, like, why aren't armaments outfitted with hyperspace engines to, like, photon torpedoes with a hyperdrive that fires through all shields, just destroys their target. Like, there's a lot of stuff that if you go too far with an idea, it just defeats the purpose of having any conflict in the rest of your story.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why The Expanse is so brilliant, because they actually have like,
it's also
like
a book and it has to adapt the book too.
Right.
It's a book without an ending yet. So,
but they have scientific consultants at least, and they try to keep things grounded in common sense from a scientific basis. So that's good.
Yeah.
But
they take the UN in a very different direction than what its actual function is, but it works for their series.
Yeah, for that show it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, to touch on the general topic, though, the rest of the story for that Star Trek announcement was the fact that, this movie is going to be different than if they do the Tarantino movie. I mean, it's still same cast, but it'll be a different movie.
It's in continuity with the other Star Trek films with the, what did they call it? The
Kelvin timeline.
I believe this will just be the Kelvin timeline still. So,
well, we'll see how long this goes for. I don't know if it's really going to take off.
What's Noah Hawley's?
Are they going to do my question is, are they going to do another Beastie Boys song? This one.
It's almost part of the brand now for that franchise. I know Paramount would love to make another Star Trek movie.
Give me Brass Monkey.
Isn't Paramount? I thought something happened where CBS was like didn't they merge again or something like that?
I know I know it's in process, but there hasn't been any like celebration that I heard of yet of the official merger being complete. It might be for the new business for the new tax business quarterly season. I think they're going to finish it off separate here and then merge next year where things can be a bit more clean.
I think they're just waiting for the timing of it.
It looks like there's a bunch of articles it looks like there was a bunch of articles in August, like basically confirming it, saying it's a $12 billion deal. LA Times.
I think it's all in. They're just getting all the fine points taken now because a merger like this is a different type of merger. This hasn't really happened before on a studio level like this. So it's definitely going to take some time. But I can see it probably right before summer of next year, where the new business year starts. It'll be completed, and then they'll start absorbing and distributing their new content. So.
What do we think of Noah Hawley as director? Is he also doing the script, or did they say who might be writing the script?
He's writing and directing.
Okay, and he did Fargo too. He wrote Fargo?
Yeah.
Okay.
He knocked Fargo out of the park.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that show. I haven't seen it, but I have heard good things.
I mean, if the guy can write a good story, again, this is not a high bar here. If he can write a good story that's rooted in common sense, the movie will do fine. Throw in some good popcorn action. It'll be a great, it'll be probably a well-earning movie. But
I hope so. That'd be nice.
But the thing is like I said, it remains to be seen. But Bad Reboot may be putting it out. But if they give Hawley some creative freedom, some creative control, man,
I don't know. I mean, Kurtzman pushed Fuller out of his own series, so I can see someone in Secret Hideout or Bad Robot doing the same thing to Noah Hawley.
Yeah, we can't really trust them, can we, SD?
No. The only thing is just the only thing that could actually prevent that from happening is if CBS Paramount severs their contract with Secret Hideout and Bad Robot because of IP theft with Nas Abdeen, which I don't think is going to happen because there's a lot of issues against that, and also the legal team under CBS has foolishly not scapegoated Secret Hideout as they should have. Instead, they've kind of taken ownership of it. So yeah, that's going to be complicated, but yeah, a confirmed IP theft violation with monetary repercussions would totally kill their contract with CBS and Paramount and save Star Trek, in my opinion.
How long is the Bad Robot contract go?
It's technically a 5-year contract so long as they keep making content. So if they do Star Trek 4, Bad Robot is still associated with it, and for the TV side of things, the same rules apply. So after I guess season 3 of Discovery airs, they have another 5 years to make another show in between. I think it has to be live action. I think the animated is for another contract. I don't think it's part of that whole thing, but I've only been able to get bits and pieces of information.
And there's no conflict there with Bad Robot signing with Warner Brothers?
I would think there should be, but for some reason there isn't. I don't know how they've managed to pull that off. But then again, they might be using the same tactics that Halle Berry did when she was both signed to be Storm and Catwoman between 2 different studio properties.
Well, I'm wondering if Bad Robot isn't on their way out eventually, because it's been rumored on and off that they're on their way out of Trek. So
yeah, I mean, they're not making any money off the licensing stuff for it, but they are still connected, I think, to Secret Hideout, which has got a pretty solid contract with for Trek.
That's Kirkman, right?
Yep.
Right.
And then even if Abrams is able to do whatever he does at Warner Brothers, if Paramount and CBS are still making Star Trek movies, he's still attached to that in some regard, whether he'll actually have involvement. I think the only thing that would happen with that is whatever movie JJ is releasing with Warner Brothers can't conflict with whatever's going on with Paramount. Otherwise, they'll have that Mission Impossible Batman versus Superman thing. Or sorry, Justice League
with the mustache, right?
Which was hysterical. I tip my hat to Paramount. They did the right thing there by making Henry Cavill not shave his mustache.
it was part of his character in Mission Impossible.
Yep.
So, all right. Did you want to talk about some MCU rumors, Don?
Okay, that's fine. So this comes from we talked about it a little bit earlier. So this comes from our friend Jeremy Conrad over at MCU Cosmic. He loves John.
Yeah, I'm sure
he's caught on to some rumor that Thunderbolts is going into development. And the reason I'm not too excited about this is because there's a bunch of properties that are in development right now, and they're just stuck in that phase. And I guess, according to Script Doctor, it's kind of like winning the lottery if it ever goes into production.
Yeah, you'd be more likely to be struck by lightning than get your movie made. In most cases, sadly.
This might be a little different, though, since it is the MCU and Marvel Studios. They seem to have, maybe from the outside looking in, it looks like they do have like long-term plans that they're laying out here.
Yeah, but my only
they have a 40-year plan.
My only beef with that is there's no other people talking about this. Like whenever they reference that story, they all reference to MCU Cosmic Jeremy Conrad's story. So it's kind of like it's just this echo chamber of whatever Jeremy brought out, and I'm not finding any sources, no names attached to the project. Just it's getting done.
Well,
There's a screenplay being written.
Well, I think the rumor was that it's like in early development, so they might be tossing the idea around. I mean, I think a lot of these ideas, I don't know, Script Doctor might know a little bit more about this, but they probably toss a lot of ideas around. I mean, we just look at, if you look at the interviews that McFeely and Marcus gave after Endgame, and they're still giving now, they're talking about all the ideas that they had in Endgame and Infinity War. They talked about like having Nova like showing up, and I think they even talked about there were some other characters that they talked about, like maybe introducing earlier that they're going to spin off into these like Disney Plus series now. So it's possible that like this is just like an idea they're tossing out there on the board, maybe throwing it out as like it could also be like, hey, Disney's testing the waters on whether or not people want to see a Thunderbolt story. But I think in your article, I thought you did a pretty good job of saying that it could be contingent on what happens with the reception of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and maybe spinning out of that series with Baron Zemo and introducing the classic Thunderbolts potentially, since Cap and Iron Man are gone, and it would kind of align similarly to what we saw in the comics.
So another problem with that is the Thunderbolts is comprised of a lot of anti-heroes, and a lot of those original, or at least the Marvel Now property Thunderbolts.
That's like the rebooted version.
Yeah. So the roster includes Elektra, Punisher, and Ghost Rider, and then two other ones which we haven't seen: Red Hulk, or not Red Hulk.
No,
well, we
Red
haven't
Hulk's
seen
later,
Red
yeah.
Hulk, but we haven't seen Red Leader. Not to mention, we haven't seen Leader, and we haven't seen.
Leader.
Well, kinda. And we saw Mercy. I mean, we haven't. Not even a mention of Mercy. So, and I wrote about that in the article. So I don't know what they're going to do with these properties. I know there's a lot of the fan base still clamoring for Bernthal to reprise the role. I know he was asked about it on the red carpet when Feige took over for all creative content over Marvel, and he was like, I can't talk about that.
My guess is if they do Thunderbolts, though, it'll probably be original team, and you'll have like Songbird, Moonstone, Bullseye, Penance, Radioactive Man, Swordsman, and probably not Venom. Obviously, that's a Sony property, but you could get someone in there. But I would think that they would go with that team, and because it seems like that's with Eternals, they're introducing. They want to introduce new properties that they can franchise and merchandise. So it would make more sense to do that new team, and then obviously because you already, I feel like the Punisher and that the Punisher's brand is just so huge by itself. You would want to have him doing his own thing, maybe instead of being part of a team.
So I don't know what kind of money you could bring in, though.
Yeah. So Don, you said there was only one source regarding this script going around.
Yeah, our buddy Jeremy.
See that makes me think that this might not be something commissioned by Marvel, but an agent may have negotiated one of his writers to write a spec to submit for review, which would mean that like a writer like myself or what have you would have pitched an idea and they got the go ahead to write it as a spec, and they're doing it basically without any money because it's like, and then they're maybe have leaked this story to one guy to try and get some press on it, so that when the script is finally submitted, Marvel will see that the concept might be worthy of investing in. Because if it's not even like announced or rumored in more sources, especially throughout the rest of the trades, then it seems like it's kind of like a third-party start before they actually start workshopping it and doing some real heavy-handed development. because Marvel does have like a plan to almost 2045 of what they want to do, like sketched out, and that plan keeps changing every couple months, but at least they have a plan. So I'm curious because Thunderbolts, I mean, unless you're a pretty decent comic book fan, you're not really going to know who they are. So it is kind of a risk on Marvel's side, unless they go the Iron Man approach, which is, get at least one or two somewhat recognizable characters. Like, I guess Bullseye would be a good one to throw in there to sort of lure in.
Moonstone is like a Captain Marvel knockoff.
Yeah, like anything to sort of lure in or entice the average or the normie to come in, and then the rest of the characters kind of win them over, and then they run with it.
That's what they're trying to do with Eternals with Angelina Jolie and Richard Madden.
Yeah.
And what's his name? They got Jon Snow too.
Oh, they got Jon Snow. That's right.
I do want to say that you did write an article back in 2018 about a potential Thunderbolts movie. And it was based off of an interview that Hannah John Kamen gave, who was Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And so she talked about potentially that I guess she was asked about if she would reprise her role, and she said that I actually went when I was in Atlanta, bought the Thunderbolts comic, and so she was talking about a possible Thunderbolts movie there back in 2018. So there might be a little bit more to it going on, but I mean,
but the buzz on the internet
is or anything.
The buzz on the internet is not clamoring for the Thunderbolts movie, contrary to what our buddy Jeremy's saying in his article.
I don't know. I think if you get,
I see that lineup of the mock-up picture. I'm like, wait, yeah, maybe I do want this. John Bernthal reprising his role as the Punisher, and Elodie Young back as Elektra, even though I didn't like her role in the second and third seasons season of Daredevil. Yeah, it's just like, but I'd love to have a studio give her a chance to reprise her role and to be a badass. Possibly could be, but Ghost Rider 2 with the new CG effects from 5th season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'd love to see that.
I don't know. I like the idea of the Thunderbolts, like a villain team kind of trying to replace these heroes. I like that idea.
I mean, I like the Ghost Rider, especially when this version of Ghost Rider they had that tied in with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was done well, in my opinion. So
he's not riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, I know.
Driver, right?
Ghost Rider. I like
driver.
I liked him with the car.
No, I mean, he's driving a Challenger, right?
That's
a Challenger.
Old school Challenger, the ones you can hear 20 blocks down the street.
But I don't know. I always like. I don't know. I like the Ghost Rider on my motorcycle.
I liked mine on the horse, but that's all preference.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The script doctor probably likes this Ghost Rider on a woolly mammoth.
Sure.
Oh,
they got one. I'll take that.
They
woolly
do.
mammoth staying warm in the Ice Age, melted snow all around it as he drives.
They do. They introduced one in 1 million BC or whatever.
Yeah. What was that? What title was that?
Yeah. The first Ghost Rider or whatever.
There
should be one for every generation almost, really.
I'm still holding out hope that one day, sometime, some decade, I will see Lady Death and Evil Ernie anime in a cartoon or in a TV show. But see, I don't even think any of you guys read Lady Death, did you?
I've seen it on the shelf. I don't think I've actually read it.
No,
I
have
think
not
I've read it either. No.
Oh my god, the Chaos comics were good back in the day, man.
I'm doing a lot of slow refreshers right now.
That's a Brian Polita comic. Yeah, I think he's still making that stuff.
Yeah, he did
at New York Comic-Con.
He did a recent, I believe, Kickstarter for.
Oh, he's always doing Kickstarters, man. He's one of the most successful
for a new
crowdfunded guys.
Yeah, he was doing like I think a new run of Lady Death when I last checked. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, Lady Death is iconic among comic book fans that know her. I mean, she's
Oh yeah. She's got a really good design here. She might be. She might the. I mean, I'm sure she's got her critics on Twitter though. She might be showing a little too much skin. Can't have
Oh,
that.
she's showing as much as Vampirella?
Pretty much.
They had at one time Chaos, I believe, had Vampirella for a while, and they used to put out pinup calendars of Lady Death, Vampirella. There was another.
I see.
Well, she was with Thanos was obsessed with her, right?
No,
this is different.
This is
Oh, it's a
Chaos
different Lady Death.
Comics.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Chaos Comics Lady
Chaos
Death.
Comics.
No, but yeah, Death is Thanos is obsessed with Death in the MCU, which they didn't or not MCU, but in the comics they never touch on that in the MCU.
No, there was
Right.
rumor when Infinity War was being shot that the reveal for Endgame was that he did that all to appease death and not necessarily also the resource thing. It was like both. It was like
Yeah.
two birds with one stone.
That's what they should have done that.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, that would have.
That would have been great because that would have made him far more evil as opposed to just antagonistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great. I mean, he was like Thanos was like evil light. I mean, that would have like cemented him as like yeah.
Can you imagine the scene where he's killing Gamora, and you see like this avatar of death like behind her,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
so like he's crying, like that crying would just be like you would be like, what? Why is he actually crying? Is he crying because he's like killing Gamora, or is he crying for like
'Cause he's one step closer to getting laid by death.
Yeah, like
Right.
that would have been freaking awesome.
Yeah, but then it kind of ruins that and losing that what you love thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
Well, maybe it's like a little bit of both. It's like, I can't believe I have to sacrifice my adopted child so I can get with this being that I am obsessed with. I mean, there is a way you can do it. It just would be really convoluted and talky.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think if they didn't even, I think if that was like the beginning of the second act reveal of Endgame, is that Thanos did this so he could be with Death, because Death finally acknowledges Thanos as being like worthy of her. And when they go to fight him, it's Death and Thanos that they have to fight against. So it's way greater of a challenge than expected. And then I guess you can factor in Nebula getting the gauntlet and fixing it all and kind of get closer to the actual comic book.
Yeah, but for those of you out there, viewers watching, if you guys aren't familiar with the old Chaos Comics characters, look up Lady Death and Evil Ernie, because they were awesome.
And then after you search Lady Death, erase your browser history before your girlfriends come home.
So yeah, that too, maybe.
Oh yeah, Mark.
Gosh, I'm so glad I stopped watching. If that's what's happening in Titans now.
Yeah,
I think I saw the best with that Aqualad episode because it was going downhill.
That was
from
probably
there.
the best episode. I saw the episode he's talking about on Monday, and it's just as bad as the first season, if not worse. I can't believe. I heard that they're getting a third. I can't believe that. It's just.
That's HBO Max, is what I think. That's what that is.
Yeah, someone in charge of HBO and greenlighting stuff is clearly on a lot of drugs or is blackmailed, because there's no way they should be running this series for another season. Just put the money into Doom Patrol. See if you can get Swamp Thing back, because that was way better.
Yeah, Swamp Thing. I enjoyed Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
I will say, I know this is totally off topic, but so my wife watches The Crown on Netflix, and there's some pretty good episodes of that as well. Just off topic.
Yeah, I've heard some good things.
No,
about
they're not going to pour money into things we love.
So getting back on topic, I guess, there there was another MCU rumor about a potential female Loki. Do you want to talk about that, Don?
So there's so whatever this lady's name is, she's like a
DiMartino. Sophia DiMartino.
Sophia DiMartino. I have no idea who she is. I have no idea any of the titles she was in before. I think she was maybe just a supporting cast member in some of these things that she's been in, and then all of a sudden she's in. So all of a sudden she's in all 6 episodes, same as Tom Hiddleston. Both of them in all 6 episodes.
Yeah, she's reported to be co-star.
Yeah, and then the source close to whatever's happening on the Loki set says that she's going to be playing the female Loki.
Yeah, the source told Deadline that.
Yeah. Question is, so a lot of folks have been like, okay, why can't Marvel Studios stop doing the gender bend thing and just play up the characters that have been established in comics? Why not cast her as Enchantress?
I think there's other people who are speculating that, but I mean, obviously this is a rumor. But yeah, no, I mean, they gave us Lorelei in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In that one like Sith episode where it was like the only thing that actually like crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't understand why we haven't gotten Enchantress yet. I mean, she's one of like the big components of that Asgardian mythology, and we haven't seen her at all.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a minor complaint for now because, as with everything, they're all rumors at this point until we see some boots on the ground that can confirm everything.
So Phil's saying there was a female Loki in the books.
Yeah.
Ultimate Universe one, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Ultimate Universe, but in the main universe, it's actually Loki who's in possession of Sith's body. Because he avoided like Ragnarok and everyone else got like resurrected into different bodies or whatever, and then
Lady Sif.
Yeah, Loki took control of Lady Sif, and then he cuts a deal with like Hela to like send him back in time, and then he comes back, and then in this like Agent of Asgard book from 2014, when Marvel was doing all their like woke stuff, like heavy woke stuff. It's revealed that Loki can like shapeshift into pretty much anything that's like a man size. And he says like, not that simple these days. Changing my shape is not without cost. I can turn into myself. That's no problem. I can turn into anything as long as it's me. And so he like turns into a female version of himself, and then he turns into some kind of like dog creature.
I think that was a horse, and that's how we got the origins of Odin's horse.
That's definitely a dog. Does not look like a horse.
Loki is the mother of Odin's horse, is what I understand from the mythology.
Yeah, that's in the myth. Yeah,
God.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's like a kid Loki. He like goes in the past or something. Yeah, I'm not all up on the Thor mythos, but yeah, from what I understand, there is a kid Loki, Phil.
Oh, jeez, man.
But the original one was still a man. He was just like in possession of Sith's body.
Mm. Well, if it's a way to bring back Jamie Alexander, that's great. But the argument still stands. It's like, why not have this person? Why not introduce Enchantress? Powerful MCU character. But yeah, that's the discussion going on around that rumor. A lot of people are saying that eventually what will happen is Hiddleston will drop off and then she'll take over. I'm not seeing that at least from the IMDb listings of the episodes. Like both of them have all 6 episodes. So
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of rumors been this is going to be like the MCU's take on a Doctor Who series.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I hope not.
Me too. I like the idea of Loki being able to do his own thing in his own chaotic way. yeah, they were able to bring back Jamie Alexander. That'd be cool. But I think Blind Spot's still got another 2 or 3 seasons left in it, so she's never gonna have time to
Oh,
come
they
back.
canceled Blind Spot. Blind Spot's done.
They canceled it, so they only have this last season that I guess is airing, huh?
Yes, because she's talked about that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Blind
Oh,
Spot is
man.
done, so she will be available.
Sorry, I'm cracking up over something else, man. I just happened to look up that the Twitch story, John, that we put up earlier.
Oh, you reading the comments?
Reading the comments.
Yeah,
Of the thigh lady.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to touch on that real quick?
No, we can hold off on that one. But I don't know. I kind of buy into the idea that they could be like passing the torch with Loki. It seems that's what they're doing in a lot of these Disney Plus series. They were specifically talked about that in the Hawkeye series, and they're like expanding the universe documentary that's on Disney Plus.
Oh, did you see the new intro for it?
Oh, they have a new intro for that documentary.
Well, no, for the Hawkeye series.
Oh, did they release a new intro?
It's
I know
like
they
some-
have. I know
It's
they
a crazy
showed-
animation.
Oh yeah, with Kate Bishop and stuff, where they
Yeah.
don't have an actual actress yet.
No.
Yeah, it's just like her. It's just her purple like outline of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from that documentary,
Mm.
expanding the universe. If I'm thinking of what you're thinking of. But yeah, so they actually like tell you like it's supposed to be a passing the torch series for Hawkeye. The She-Hulk series, I'm hearing rumors that Ruffalo is in talks to appear in that, and that could potentially be passing the torch as well. And then you also have the rumors about like the Riri Williams Ironheart Disney Plus series that might be in the works with Robert Downey Jr. potentially like showing up. And it's been confirmed by Jeff Goldblum that he is returning in a what if at least one what if series as Tony Stark. So
In the Ragnarok one or in the Iron Man one? Because each of them are supposed to be reworkings of one of the original films.
The what ifs.
The what
Yeah.
ifs, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, he didn't really say. Goldblum said he recorded his episode, and then he said like Tony's Robert Downey Jr. is going to do one as well. He didn't say which one. I mean, he could be in multiple ones. I mean, they had freaking Steve Rogers in an Iron Man suit in the clip. Yeah, what if is animated? The animation. Mark asks, "What if is animated?" The animation actually looks really, really good. I was very highly impressed, especially considering I've seen some of those Marvel animated shows and movies on Netflix, and it was okay.
Yes, I saw the one with one of the Avengers, Ultimate Avengers one. That animation was weird.
Yeah, this one looks like really, really solid. Looks really good. It's got like at least the one with Captain Peggy Carter or whatever. Captain, I don't know what they're calling her.
Can't be Captain Britain. Sorry.
Yeah,
she
you
may
can't
have
really-
the accent, but she's not a British citizen.
Plus, she's not Captain Britain.
Yeah. Captain Britain's a Excalibur character. I guess it's Psylocke now, right?
Yeah, Betsy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that animation looks really good with and it looks. I mean, obviously it's dated.
Yeah,
They make it look like it's dated, but it looks good. But so does I guess there was like that Black Panther one too.
Yeah, what?
And that looks solid too, and the zombie.
Wasn't Captain Britain Psylocke's dad?
Brother.
Oh, okay. That's
Brian Braddock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they reference a Braddock in Endgame, in that when they go back to the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Whether that's Betsy, Brian, or what's the other brother's name? There's another one.
Oh, the other one that
He's like
Philip would know. The one that comes out
a
of
bad guy,
goo.
kind of, right? Isn't he like a?
And
Isn't
he's
he
like a
an
yeah,
antagonist? He plays the antagonist role.
Yeah.
yeah. Jamie Braddock.
Yeah, there you go.
There it
Jamie
is.
Braddock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was a big Psylocke fan. I hope they actually
So was I.
when they do the X-Men eventually, I hope that they really cast Psylocke right. I wasn't too impressed with what's
Olivia
her face?
Munn.
Yeah.
Olivia Munn? Olivia Munn's gorgeous. What are you talking about?
Well, no, she's hot, but dude, I don't think she nailed Psylocke. I'm sorry.
I don't think Psylocke was written well for that movie either.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that
He
movie was
had-
horrible in general.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn being pushed out of that series was a bad call.
I don't understand. I did not understand that. After First Class,
Yeah, I was
Singer.
all bored after first class. I was like, damn.
yeah.
You know, Phil, I guess you got a point. But I don't know. She just didn't impress me in that movie.
I don't think she was meant to.
Maybe it's just like,
Dude, it was all about the Phoenix, yo.
I was just like so used to seeing her just do TV. She was good at doing Attack of the Show, and that was about it.
She got that job because she forgot to wear a bra that day.
Probably.
No, literally, that's the story. She's auditioned and she forgot to wear a bra, and people were like, "Let's just get her on," and she just took off with it. I remember when she got onto the Daily Show, and I'm like, "Who is she sleeping with to get onto that?" And then after like 2 segments, they fired her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she still landed Aaron Rodgers for a while. So
Yeah, didn't that tank his football playing abilities though?
it was
He was
funny.
struggling when that was happening, wasn't it?
He sucked when he was dating her. Now he's playing well again. Now that he's dating Danica Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
The rich get richer.
But yeah, I mean that whole end scene with after First Class where like Magneto is in that freaking epic outfit and he's like breaking Emma
Frost out.
I mean, I was like, there's so much potential there, and I was like, you had like a really good movie, and then like the setup with like in that outfit, I was just like, please give me more of that.
And then they gave it back to Singer.
And I mean, Days of Future Past was good too, but I mean, I wanted to see more of the X-Men in that 60s time frame, man.
X-Men as a period piece, I think, would be like a great television series.
Yeah.
You could do a great 10-episode, hour-long 1960s style X-Men, and I think people would really, really love it. Get Matthew Vaughn in to direct or write, or get Noah Hawley to do that. Noah Hawley could do X-Men.
Oh yeah, he did Legion, right?
Yeah.
So, I really am surprised that they moved forward this Eternals film, knowing that they were going to get X-Men. Feige knows that X-Men is like. I mean, he was X-Men producer, so he knows what the X-Men are. He's not like.
That's true. I mean, Lauren Schuler Donner like shepherded him during those X-Men films, but like one thing I should try and remind people is that Kevin Feige, he may have the title and everything, but he's not really as influential as we're led to believe. Like he's there and he's making some decisions and stuff, but like the MCU isn't the MCU because of him. There's a whole lot of other people there that are making this thing work, and he's reaping the attention from it. But like if he leaves, the MCU is still going to be going the way it's going right now. Like he's not the sole guy behind it.
The casting director for pretty much everybody. What's her name?
Crap. I know who you're talking about.
But she deserves a lot of credit too, because she got Robert Downey Jr. She got Hemsworth. She got Loki, Hiddleston to play. Even though he auditioned for the Thor part.
I don't know why he did that, because he was never going to get big enough to be Thor.
Right. And then, we all questioned Brie Larson. She was responsible for that.
See, at the very beginning, when it was firstly announced, I didn't question that because I thought she could do it, because that was before she went crazy. just because like she was kind of like approachable and relatable at that time, and then her personal life kind of went nuts, and then she kind of went nuts, and then for some reason there's no personal trainer for her to get her into shape for the role, which I thought was really weird.
Well, I thought she was like pushing a Jeep up a hill and stuff.
Maybe her stunt
that?
double, but not her.
Yeah.
They have that video of her like pushing a Jeep up a hill. They say it's her.
The Jeep made of Legos?
But she also said she
Was the
didn't have
guy
any
driving
stunt
it
doubles.
in reverse for her or something?
I think the guy had it in neutral.
Yeah, she's more than likely just in her.
Did they just switch the angle and she was pushing it down a hill and you couldn't tell?
The extent of what she was doing is probably, ordering her daily special at Starbucks, and that was about it.
I would
She
have
didn't have any
chosen.
stunt doubles. She told us she didn't have any stunt doubles.
I mean, I would have chosen that lady from Edge of Tomorrow, opposite Tom Cruise. What was her name?
Yeah.
Oh,
Crap.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yeah.
Yeah, she got jacked.
See,
She looks the role and acts the role of more in that
a badass.
kind of military kind of ordeal thing. So
more disciplined. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I as weird as it sounds, I still think age appropriateness wise and funness, Reese Witherspoon would have been able to do it.
No, I wanted Katie Sackhoff.
Everybody wants Katie Sackhoff. Everybody wants Katie Sackhoff, but like I think she would have given a similar performance to Brie Larson with that direction. If you got someone with a bit more experience, stepping out of their comfort zone.
I could see Reese doing that, dude. I like that idea.
Yeah, because she still looks young. Yeah. She knows how to act. She has a wide range. She's charming. She's
wildly popular.
Disciplined. She's also got a good following, even though she's not in a whole lot of stuff as recently. And like she could have been a parallel to Robert Downey Jr. because she would have been around the same age Robert Downey started at Iron Man, and that would have taken everything off and still given some life to the role. But I think that Brie Larson was directed by one of the directors, and then everybody else was directed by the other guy. And as a result, that's why she sticks out like a sore thumb in that movie and doesn't really hold it all together. And everybody else is kind of like acting really well around her because she doesn't feel like she's acting in the same movie as everybody else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did you happen to cover the stuff about Blizzard, John?
There's lots of stuff about Blizzard.
No, I mean
it's a blizzard of Blizzard stuff.
In this stream. No, we haven't touched on that yet. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get to that. Yeah. Because we still got to get to DC. We got some DC rumors as well. If we want to talk about that.
King sucks.
Oh, I don't even. I've stopped buying the comics, so I mean, apparently they killed Bane, so.
But of course.
Yeah, like Thomas Wayne shows up. Super spoilers for, I think it was last week's Batman, but Thomas Wayne, like Bruce Wayne and Catwoman and Bane are doing like a naked wrestling match in some like warehouse or something. Like literally Bane and Batman stripped down to like their underwear and they're fighting each other. And then Catwoman shows up and like starts attacking. And then at the end, after they like have this long drawn out fight, Thomas Wayne shows up and shoots Bruce in the stomach or something, it looks like, and then executes Bane as they're like fighting each other, and that's how it ends. So I don't know. I only know that because Chuck Dixon like did a video response saying like why he was what his response was, and he's like I've killed Joker twice, like comic characters die all the time. Doesn't matter. Like he's like Bane is like way more alive than this like crappy run on Batman.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he doesn't say that. He's much more like polite and very Chuck Dixon about it. If you know anything about Chuck, very nice, very good guy here.
Diplomatic.
Very diplomatic. Yeah. But yeah, so we got some DC movie rumors, and some of these rumors are based off of an interview that Henry Cavill did with Men's Health, which I find very interesting. He's doing interviews with Men's Health, not with a Hollywood trade publication, although they write their article like they are a Hollywood trade, which I can't stand.
Aaron
Vanity
Eckhart did a whole bunch for Men's Health when he was Harvey Dent.
I can't stand that style of writing though.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like they literally write they write like they're writing a novel, and it's just like, dude, like, come on, man. I don't need to know what the ceiling of the comic book shop that you're in looked like, with specific detail on like the coloring and like the texture and all that stuff. I don't need to know that.
As dust lightly covers the comic book cover.
Yeah, seriously.
Or a magazine with photos. Show me a picture.
Yeah, I was like, I can't stand those. I can't stand those. As someone who like writes articles, I hate those articles. I will never write an article like that.
Just do one that's satirical.
I will do an article like that if it's a parody. I think I did one of those.
I'll put one out
back in
tonight.
the day.
I couldn't
Instantly deleted.
I couldn't write like that either, man.
I'll write browsers.
There you go. Yes, petition browsers idea.
I better not drink. I'm just gonna pour it out of my nose.
So Cavill did this interview with Men's Health, and he basically said, "I still have the Superman cape in my closet. It's not going anywhere or whatever. It's mine." And then he would later go on and say that, let me pull it up if I can find it here.
Cavill should stay Superman. I mean, I don't have a problem with Cavill being Superman.
I would like to see how he plays Superman because he hasn't really played Superman yet.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well.
I mean, maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't have a big problem with Cavill.
I don't either, but like I just haven't seen him play Superman yet. Not one that I've recognized from the comics, not one that I've recognized from other interpretations. And I think he could do it.
Sure, I absolutely think he could do it.
But
why don't you think that he portrayed Superman in Man of Steel?
Well, Superman is not a whiner or a dapper guy. He's kind of hopeful, positive. He may have curiosities about him, but his flaw comes from his desire to be human, even though he can't be. And I just didn't get that at all in Man of Steel. I thought if you took away the Superman brand and just made him an alien having to fight his own race to save his new home, that would have been a pretty good movie. But there's so much history behind the character and the meaning of what Superman is to people. It just felt strange to see him written to be brought down to a human level as opposed to be inspirational to bring us up to something better. Because that's usually because it's a fish out of water story, and he doesn't really come across as a fish out of water, just kind of like I'm bored with the world. I'm alone. Like,
so
very derivative stuff.
Was one of the things you really took issue with is when he basically destroys that guy's like 18-wheeler after the fight in the restaurant.
That's kind of petty.
It was petty for him, but like I could see like a teenager Clark doing that.
Right.
Yeah, but this is a grown man.
Well,
This is a grown man who should have learned those lessons.
Right. I think I don't know. They tried to. I felt like he was supposed to be like I know like Cavill was like mid-20s back then.
I think he was 28.
Yeah. Okay. Late 20s then.
Oh, that feels younger than me.
But it felt like in the story he was supposed to be a younger Superman because he was just like going off like journeying.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the journeying aspect, but I think what kind of really shaped the character in a bad direction was the choices they made for Mom and Pa Kent. Because I loved Kevin Costner and Diane Lane as the parents, because they would be great Mom and Pa Kents. But the problem is they weren't like, I've been to the Midwest. They were nothing like any Midwestern farmers I've ever met. They were really self-centered. They were really fearful and overly cautious. The fact that they didn't instill any sort of values into Clark as a kid, like he was trying to teach Pa Kent that he should have saved people in that scene, as opposed to Pa Kent saying like, "I'm proud of you. Just we have to be careful about what you do in public."
Yeah, I agree. I didn't.
Yeah.
I will agree. I didn't like that part. I also didn't like the part where like he just goes and like basically tells his son, "Don't save me."
Yeah,
Tornado.
Jumps in
I-
the
I
tornado.
couldn't
there's that
stand
one great scene where like Pa Kent shows Clark that he's an alien, and Clark's like, "Am I still your son?" He's like, "You've always been my son. You are my son." Like I was like, "Where's
Yeah,
that?
that was really
That's
good.
that should be your foundation, and you should build off of that." But it just sticks out like a sore thumb because everything else around it doesn't reflect that attitude. And even then, like, what Clark could still have saved. Anybody could have saved Pa Kent at that point. He just had a hurt ankle, so he just had to like act as a third leg for him, and they could get away because it just seemed so asinine, just to have him killed off that way. And I also think the only Superman that can get away with a dead Pa Kent is the Richard Donner one. Nowadays, having Pa and Ma around for Superman really helps keep Superman kind of grounded and focused and related to
Yes.
his humanity.
Mm.
And the thing that whenever I pitch a Superman story, and the one thing that everybody in Hollywood loves when I pitch it, even though we can never get the rights for me to write a story, is Superman or Clark Kent. His entire philosophy when he's trying to save people is, what would Pa Kent do? Because Pa Kent is his hero. And when you put that father-son relationship into a character like Superman, you make him more like Superman, and you also show why. A great lesson, which is why like parenting is the hardest responsibility and job a human being can have. And when you do it right, you can create a Superman, and when you do it wrong, you create a Lex Luthor. And
that's dude.
Oh yeah.
all
So
totally on
it would
board
have
on that.
been. Yeah, it would have been a reflection of Jor-El and what Jor-El did as a parent to sacrifice himself and his,
sacrifice himself to save his son, and then at the same time seeing a very mirrored like effect of the same positivity through Ma and Pa Kent about like doing things. Because one perspective that hasn't been done yet in Superman, which is the perspective that Jor-El sent Kal-El to Earth so that Earth would save Clark. It's not so that Clark would save Earth. Clark chooses to save Earth because it's like kind of repaying this planet for existing to allow him to live a life. It's like, okay, I'm a baby. I'm being sent to a planet where there's a greater chance that I will be not found by anybody and have to survive on my own. So I'm at a planet where I can't be hurt. I can get my nourishment from the sun, and nothing can hurt me. And he just happened to be very lucky to be found by the Kents and raised as their son. And at that point, he's like, well, okay, Jor-El's mission is accomplished. I'm alive. I have a life. Now what am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to do with these powers? And, the values that come from Ma and Pa Kent, and also the values that he could assume from his parents for like choosing to save somebody, would be something that he would want to emulate and probably push forward, give his life more meaning. So when he becomes a journalist seeking out the truth, that's one way he's able to help people. And then the other part is he's basically a first responder that can fly. Like, he's there to help people. He's not really there to investigate and stop crimes, although that is an aspect of what he does, but he's mostly there to help and sort of influence and inspire, because he was inspired by those people that raised him and allowed him to live a life.
Yeah, he's not the world's greatest detective.
Exactly. He's not, and he doesn't have to be, but he's a hell of an investigative journalist.
Yes.
And he's the world's most powerful foster kid.
Yeah.
And he can relate to Shazam in that respect, and Shazam could be like, oh my gosh, that's the connection he has with Superman.
Yeah. And I think
does your script have phone booths?
Yes, but that's because I have a different style of take of Metropolis. I have one where people have phone booths that they have like the smartphones and stuff, but like the phone booths are there as kind of like the stylistic nature of Metropolis. Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah, I like that.
Because I did the same thing for like my Batman and other stuff, where I've just kind of made it an ambiguous time frame to be more universal. So it's a crossover of the 30s, the 60s, and the 90s with a little bit of internet technology, but I try to keep that distance because one of my pet peeves is relying too much on computers and internet to solve problems. So I like the idea of people kind of getting involved in stuff, because person-to-person contact and no hacking is a lot more fun.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why I was really upset when David S. Goyer was announced to be co-writing Man of Steel. I'm like, great, it's going to be, Mr. David S. I've got a small dick Goyer, so I've got to be really, really dark and edgy to make up for that. Is writing a Superman script where
Tell us
Because he
how you
can't
really
write someone
feel.
that's heroic or aspirational. He has to write someone that's like flawed in all the worst ways humanity can be flawed, and be a nomadic wanderer who has no purpose in life, who just helps people reluctantly as opposed to something he feels he should do. And who am I type of stuff. It's like, no, Clark figures out who he is as a kid, and then he figures out what he does, and Superman is what he does. Superman is not who he is. That's like the brilliance of the character. And I've heard that from Joe Shuster's mouth before he died when I was a toddler. So
Did you ever read? I think Max Landis did like a 6-issue Superman story called American Alien. Did you
yeah,
ever,
I read that.
Yeah, I thought I like that as a.
It had some cool ideas in it, but it was
Yeah.
very millennial.
Oh well, yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of why Superman doesn't X-ray women, because he's like, yeah, you see how their bodies are shaped with their underwear, and it's all weird.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I did it once, never again. Like I thought that was kind of clever and funny.
Yeah. So Cavill also said, or Cavill, I'm always saying his name wrong. He says, "I've not given up the role. There's a lot I have to give for Superman yet. A lot of storytelling to do. A lot of real, true depths to the honesty of the character I want to get into. I want to reflect the comic books. That's important to me. There's a lot of justice to be done for Superman." And then he says, "The status is you'll see on whether or not he's going to be back as Superman." My guess is that he's going to be back as Superman because we've got this rumor. Well, my guess that he's going to be back as Superman is because The Rock is making Black Adam, and he's represented by his ex-wife, Danny Garcia, who also represents Cavill. And Danny Garcia was adamant back in 2018 when those reports were running wild that Henry was out. And Danny Garcia also said, "Be peaceful. The cape is still in his closet." I can't tell if they're being like metaphorical with that or if he actually owns a Superman cape.
If he does, it's just a red cape, because the Superman cape has the gold shield on the back, and they haven't done that.
Yeah. So,
I think the rumor was misconstrued because Man of Steel 2 was considered canceled, and that's what Cavill was out of. I don't think he was out of the actual franchise yet.
I know what the Hollywood Reporter back in 2018 was basically like he's done as Superman completely. And that's what that was like that main rumor. And then more recently, we were getting rumors that Abrams is taking over Superman and doing his own thing, as well as the Green Lantern movie.
He's doing. Abrams is going to do Flyby. That script. That's a terrible script. I'm thinking I should probably figure out how to live stream and get some people on and just read the script out loud before it gets made, so people can see how bad it is.
And that's a Superman script.
Lex Luthor's a Kryptonian. Like Jor-El is still alive. Yeah, Krypton didn't blow up. Like it's garbage.
So I'm curious. When you read a lot of these scripts, have these people who have written these scripts have they ever read a comic book?
Well, for some of the superhero ones, I don't think they did. I have the original Batman prequel pilot from like 1999, like the precursor to the Smallville thing. That one there is it's trash. Like no one who wrote that read a Batman comic. Abrams did not read a Superman comic when he wrote Flyby. He knows the names, but he doesn't know their placement or their interactions. The Green Lantern script was shot exactly as it was written, which is always a mistake. You kind of want to tweak it and do things to it as you're shooting, just here and there, because once you see it play out, you kind of have a better understanding of what you're trying to get across, which is why I think Gary keeps saying this recently, and he's kind of right, but he's kind of not. He says they're making it as they go along. It's technically they're writing it as they're shooting, which is really bad because like Iron Man is the only movie I know of where they pulled that off, but that's because everybody kind of had a direction with what they're going with that movie. Like they literally wrote those scenes maybe like 24 hours before they ended up shooting them. Like they knew the location, they knew what they had to get across, but they had to rewrite the whole script like day by day as they were shooting. And it's damn lucky and a damn miracle they pulled that off. I don't see JJ being able to do that.
Zazie Beetz said that's what they did with Joker. that they were
Yeah,
basically
that's what I
rewriting
heard
it.
too.
She said that in an interview with MTV that they were rewriting it like every day.
Maybe, but I have the Joker script before they changed it to where Zazzy's interactions with Arthur Fleck were fictional, and the script is pretty bang on the same. I'll send it to you if you want.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we know that actors lie in these interviews, so
well, they embellish a little bit. I would
Right.
not be surprised if she got different sides to what the script was on shooting, and they experimented with some stuff. But yeah, like in some cases, actors are more puppets than people, sadly. At least the mediocre to bad ones are. But I wouldn't be surprised if she got the script, or at least part of the script, read it, then started getting different sides as they were doing pre-production and production, and then she just came to her own idea that yeah, my role was probably bigger and different, and then we rewrote it on the day. And she's only in like maybe 8 pages of the script, so that's an easy thing to happen.
right. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a. I mean, her role isn't that huge in the film.
Yeah.
Spoilers, she's just an imagination.
Well, she's real,
No,
but the
she's real.
interaction
No, she's real, but
imagination.
Yeah, I actually,
Most of her
I
interactions.
actually liked that part. I thought that was that. I did like that.
That was a smart move.
Yeah,
In the script,
was-
she's not an imagination, but the same kind of thing applies. It's more like she's nice to him, and Arthur takes it more than what it is. And when he discovers that she has a relationship with someone else, he kind of like feels embarrassed and dejected, and it's kind of this first step towards the madness, because he doesn't blame her; he just blames himself for being an idiot.
right. I was when he's like goes to her house and she walks in and like finds him there and like asks him to leave. I really thought there was going to be like another man there too.
I think that was
Like,
original
walking in
script
with
too,
her.
right?
Well, he walks in on her while she's having sex with her boyfriend.
Okay, yeah, that
In the
could've worked
original
too,
script, yeah.
Yeah. But in this one, they just made it creepier, where he's just like sitting in the living room, and she just comes in and is like, "What the hell?"
That worked
Yeah.
better, in my opinion.
that did, it got a more disturbing thing across. Because again, like Joker is a veneer of King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. It's taken in a really unique direction, but it is essentially that. And the one thing I really loved about King of Comedy is how much Robert De Niro makes his character feel really uncomfortable. Like you feel really uncomfortable listening to him and what he's doing, because you just feel the desperation and the want. And the fact that that didn't come across in Joker, I felt was a missed opportunity, but it still did the job it needed to do. And it had a lot of real fun things. Like my favorite part of the Joker is whenever he's smoking a cigarette, he never pulls the cigarette out of a pack and he never lights it. It's just automatically lit and it just goes straight to his mouth. And you're like, well, what the heck? Like every actor loves striking the match and lighting a smoke. Like that's their milk and honey right there. And it's never done, which means, is he really smoking a cigarette, or is he imagining he's smoking a cigarette?
Right. Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, especially that you get that really comes across at the end. Was the whole thing like one of his like a mad imagination?
Yeah.
What does he call it? It was a bad joke or whatever, or like he tells
The
that
joke
doctor.
that
A joke no one would get. Yeah.
Yeah, tells
you wouldn't get it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Tells the doctor a joke that they wouldn't get. Yeah, yeah, I like that. That part was just like, yes, this is the Joker.
Yeah, I'm glad they did it that way, because my biggest worry before I got the script was, how do you justify the existence of the need for Batman if the Joker exists years before and the police are able to handle him?
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, if the police are able to handle him, then the Joker's not really as big of a threat, and if they can't handle him, then Gotham is chaotically destroyed and there's nothing that can be done. It's a weird thing, but they went with a different take on the Joker, which worked to its benefit. So if they do end up pulling off a sequel, I'm curious as to how they'll do it. I'm kind of looking forward to what the take would be.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
do
it
you
kinda
do a
leaves-
Joker sequel without Batman?
Yeah, unless it's a Joker sequel that introduced Batman. But again, that's too many introductions of Batman.
Or maybe it's another joke, another bad joke.
Could be, or another origin.
Yeah, like another.
Could be
like,
a multiple choice.
It's the best
It's-
concept Alan Moore came up with for the Joker. Yeah.
the Heath Ledger, like how he got my scars. You
Yep.
get another
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Actually, in the script, Arthur Fleck was supposed to have little scars on the lefts and rights corners of his mouth.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they.
And he cuts the smile into his face with glass in the script, but not in the movie. It's just blood that he puts on to
It's
paint
on,
it.
yeah. I kind of like that though too. That was very Joker-esque.
Yeah, modern day take on Joker. I mean, I still like the idea of the Joker being permanently bleached white with the green hair, and he can't change his appearance. I think that's creepier.
I mean, who's to say that doesn't happen in the sequel?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
James Gordon knocked him over into the vat of
all right, I mean we're running up on midnight here, East Coast time. So is there anything else y'all wanted to address real quick?
No, not so much, really. Good.
No, there's a lot of good topics today.
Yeah.
There's still a billion going on, even as we speak.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the gaming world.
Yeah, we didn't talk about gaming world. We touched on Mandalorian, but we didn't talk about any of like this Kathleen Kennedy interview with Rolling Stone or the Big Entertainment Weekly article where JJ is saying that Star Wars is not finished.
I do want to give a quick note to the viewers and readers out there, guys. I know I had said a couple places yesterday I was going to have my my Jedi Fallen Order review today. That's been pushed for tomorrow, but I'll have it out tomorrow, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Are you still live streaming on your channel?
Yeah, I mean, it's still live stream. I mean, I'll probably do yet another playthrough of it because the game is like awesome, dude. It's fun to play, and you know, it's funny because people wondered, because it was, you know, a single player adventure game, if there was going to be actual replay value to it. And, you know, the answer is yes, because, you know, I mean, you could go through like the planets in any order that you want. And it's quite interesting to do it different ways. And then there's also, you know, you could go in, and if you're one of those people that's like an achievement hunter, you could go and do achievements. There's a lot of stuff to do. So there is replay value to it. And, you know, and it's a good story. You know, I like the fact that it's somewhere between like The Force Unleashed, but it's not where your character feels like OP, like The Force Unleashed did. Like your character feels powerful, but in a more rounded way.
That's Sam Witwer was the voice in The Force Unleashed. That's interesting. Two actors that got their notoriety in DC properties kicking ass in Star Wars games. That's
yeah. I mean, you know, I think you know, just to give a general opinion without giving away the whole review, I will say this: that is a Game of the Year candidate, hands down. It's absolutely going to be in the running for Game of the Year, no doubt in my mind. It's that good. Not
Kojima's Death Stranding? No,
dude. I heard like Death Stranding. A lot of people said it's more like a you know, delivery simulator, walking simulator. I mean, there's just not there's not a whole lot of action going on in it. I mean, I guess the narrative, like the story, is really good in the game, but overall, I mean, you're just basically, you know, picking up stuff, dropping it off, picking up stuff, dropping it off.
I'd rather have a Futurama Planet Express ship game than.
But yeah, I know. I mean, it's a lot of people will have that opinion of Death Stranding. You know, pretty awesome story, but the actual like gameplay is pretty boring.
All right, what do you got going on your channel, Script Doctor? Did you get that Mandalorian episode 2 review up?
Almost. I lost my voice recording episode 6, which was a 2-hour recording. Then I cut it down to about 48 minutes. So tomorrow, I am gonna be recording my Mandalorian script. I'm gonna try and get Batwoman episode 6 review up tomorrow. If not, what's gonna end up happening is I've got Saturday, my first Saturday off work for a long time, so I'll probably be doing everything there and doing a schedule release for like Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of Mandalorian episode 6 and 7 of Batwoman, and then my Monday I'll be working on my take of Terminator Dark Fate, what I would have done type of thing. And yeah, lots of content and lots of crazy editing, because it takes me about an hour to do 10 to 15 minutes of my stuff. So yeah,
that's on Script Doctor. That's on your channel, Script Doctor.
That's on my
right?
channel, and
Then don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be live on Battlestar Galactica chat on my channel.
Yes,
we are going to finally catch up on the friggin' Treadstone, which I'm excited about.
yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you, Rosetta, and Brian on that. See all your guys' takes and have some fun discussions, because the show is the last episode went into a really interesting direction, and I want to see. Dude,
it is picking up so well. Oh my god, I'm like really happy about that show, because for me right now, that sort of tempers the, I guess, meh way that I'm looking at Mandalorian.
Yeah.
No, Mark, we did not have a broadcast last Thursday, because that was the day Fallen Order came out, and I was doing a Fallen Order stream that night. I did the Fallen Order launch stream.
All right, Don. What do you got going on? I think you just got you got a new video up.
So I got the video up. I am currently working on part 2. So the first part, I kind of explored some of the Netflix properties that the MCU could use for their Disney Plus platform, and some of the ABC stuff that they could use. This next video, we're going to talk about some of the Fox stuff, the FX, and the recently canceled Runaways. I know Philip's kind of angry about that, but he kind of saw the writing on the wall.
The writing on the wall,
especially with Cloak and Dagger.
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
But yeah, a lot of properties, and some of the problems that Fox has in not putting out their A material and always doing these productions on the B teams. Kind of talk about that and how that was kind of their downfall. It's at least for their television division.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Orville Nation, thank you for the super chat, dude. Gotta love bounding into comics, Orville Nation says, man. Hail to you, buddy.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Make sure you check out Orville Nation's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of cool exclusives happening with what's going on with the Orville, and I think he covers a little bit of Star Trek as well. I know he just had a video up with from Gates McFadden that we covered on the website. She is open to appearing on the Orville or Star Trek Picard, and it's possible she might get on Star Trek Picard, because Patrick Stewart was talking about it just earlier this month. Fan asked if they wanted to explore the relationship with Beverly Crusher, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to make that happen."
Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense. In that, if you go back to, it was All Good Things, and it showed them married anyway. They should explore that, because naturally we figured the progression was, she was gonna help him through the Irumodic syndrome he was inevitably going to have anyway, and they were going to get married and whatnot. So they may as well do it for real in that timeline.
Yeah, that's if they. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Script Doctor. I was just going to answer.
Yeah, because that's if they're actually if the Irmak syndrome is going to be real or not, because that still could have been a Q thing.
Yeah, true. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
Q.
Orville, that was awesome that you had that interaction with Gates McFadden, man. That was great.
Yeah, Corin Nemec.
And Corin Nemec.
Yes, I guess I hope that say his name right. Yeah, he said he put on he actually submitted a audition, I think, for the Orville. So see if he gets on that show. And then Riker also wants to maybe be an alien on the Orville after directing a couple episodes of the first.
Well, I'm going to send Corin Nemec a script, an Orville script for him. I've been tinkering around with an idea, and I think over the holidays I'm going to write it and send it to him because I got a funny idea that I think he would love to do.
Well, the good thing about Corin Nemec that I like too is he's like really good to the Stargate fandom, and he is definitely always behind keeping Stargate relevant and keeping the idea out there, to get it back on television at some point. So yeah, Corin Nemec's an awesome dude.
I definitely think Stargate's coming back. That I think that premise is just so unique and so cool.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, everybody enjoyed SG-1 and they enjoyed Atlantis because the shows were fun. I mean, it was sci-fi, but I mean, it had everything that the Orville had before the Orville was on, and that's why they succeeded. I don't think
Russell was in the film, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Russell and Spader were in the original in the movie. But
the Roland Emmerich one.
Yeah, when they did the TV though, like Richard Dean Anderson and
Quantum Leap.
Nope, that's Scott Bakula. Richard Dean Anderson is MacGyver.
MacGyver, that's right.
Yeah,
and I have all of MacGyver, and it's
mixing
a good
up
show.
my 80s shows.
But we'll see. Yeah, I agree with you, John. I think eventually Stargate's making a comeback, and we will address that one of these days here on this panel. We'll dive into that and we'll address it a little bit.
It's probably in development somewhere.
I think Joseph Malozzi has some plans.
Yeah, I feel like he does too, just from watching occasionally on Twitter.
All right, well, we do this every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Bounding Live, where we talk about the top headlines of the week so far. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you get those notifications so you know that we will be on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We also are doing weekly reviews of The Mandalorian. We do those as well at 9 p.m., but that's on Fridays because they decided to drop Mandalorian on Fridays instead of Tuesdays when they originally launched. So that's on Disney.
So stupid of them.
Yeah, it should have stayed on
But then
Tuesdays.
it will switch again, right?
Yes, the second to last episode's a Wednesday.
Yeah, so we'll do that'll be a combo Mandalorian review / Bounding Live. But yeah, so Fridays at 9 Eastern, we will be reviewing The Mandalorian.
And rolling some dice while we're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, this he will be returning. He will be finishing the main quest, the fetch quest,
right?
the bounty, and we'll see. We'll
see who else he gets in his party.
We'll see
new
if
armor upgrade.
He'll get a couple new armor upgrades. Yep, I'm sure that's happening.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna pull out my 9-sided die for this one.
We'll see if he levels up. Basically,
there will be probably a BioWare style option where he has to choose between the light and the dark, and
Press X to doubt.
That's what will happen.
Get that. You're getting dark side points.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see which side he chooses for episode 3.
Trade Yoda, get the Belkin armor.
Right.
Keep Yoda, get a sidekick who can do force powers.
Oh man. Did you see this post that Stargate Now has been teasing today?
No, I haven't seen it. I have not seen any Stargate news today. I'm so behind. I was just looking at some Star Wars stuff, and I was like, apparently, like there's a incoming tweet storm Stargate from Malozzi. Malozzi. I'm saying his name wrong. I should know how to say that Italian name. Malazzi. It's probably Malazzi because usually two Z's is a TS sound.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's been Americanized or not. I mean, I know he was talking about doing a tweet storm. It looks like he's doing it.
Right now?
It says November 19. Oh, that was 2 days ago.
Well, they did it for the Snyder Cut, so.
I don't know. What should I be looking at?
What are we looking for here, Orville?
Coming news. Is it on his blog? Or is it like
incoming news?
Or is it on like official Stargate channels?
This has me interested because I'm a Stargate fan. So.
We have a happy birthday to Ming-Na Wen from Stargate Command. I'm not really seeing anything.
Ah! Oh, I'm just seeing the Malozzi thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I don't see anything yet.
Send me DM me on Twitter, Orville Nation.
Yeah.
And I'll check it out. Yeah, so we'll be back Fridays, 9 p.m. Hopefully we'll get Philip on, and we'll get Jorge in here. I don't know if he's been watching The Mandalorian, but
I give him my subscription fee. Come on,
maybe we'll see. We'll definitely try and get Philip on here because I know he's missed the first two, so we'll see if we get him on for this third one.
Yeah, and guys, make sure that viewers out there, make sure you check the website every day. We've always got new articles going up because we're always one of us is always writing something. So we've always got new interesting articles going up. And again, if there's any breaking Stargate news, I'm sure that we'll have it.
Yeah, and if you have any tips or anything, our DMs are open, so just shoot us a DM.
True that.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. We will see you Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern to talk The Mandalorian. Episode 3.
Good night, everybody.
Star Wars RPG.